Chapter 861. All the ribs in his body were shattered by the wind from the dark flame palm, and the fragments of those ribs directly stabbed into his 5 viscera and 6 bowels. Ma Dragonfly fell heavily to the ground with a thud. After struggling for a while, he finally breathed his last breath with his eyes wide open. Not far away, Xiaofan, who was keeping a lookout, jumped in fright. He looked at Ma Dragonfly, who was bleeding from all 7 orifices, and then looked up at Xiaofan, who was walking out of the room. He stood there in a daze for a while, and his body trembled. He seemed to understand what he was here for. He did not know where he got the strength from, but he quickly picked up Ma Dragonfly's corpse and ran out without looking back. Xiaofan originally wanted to chase, but after walking 2 steps, he hesitated and turned back. He did not know what drug Ma Dragonfly had drugged Xiaofan. If it was harmful to her body, it would not be good if it acted up. "Young miss, are you okay?" Xiaofan came to Xiaofan's bedside and gently pushed her, but she did not wake up. She was still lying on the bed with her eyes closed, in a deep sleep. Without a choice, Xiaofan could only hold Xiaofan's hand and infuse some yuan qi to check her body. After dispersing the remaining smoke in her body, Xiaofan slowly woke up. Xiaofan, what happened? Why are you in my room?" Xiaofan felt her head was very heavy, and her mind was in a daze like a ball of paste. She opened her eyes and saw Xiaofan sitting beside her, so she asked weakly. "Oh, that. Just now, when you were sleeping, Ma Qingting drugged you with a sleeping gas. She wanted to rape me. What did you do?" Xiaofan checked and let go of her hand after confirming that there was nothing wrong with her body. "What?" Xiaofan jumped in fright and immediately sobered up. She immediately sat up and carefully checked her pajamas. She only relaxed when she found they were intact. "It's okay, I stopped him before he succeeded." Seeing Xiaofan's flustered appearance, Xiaofan quickly comforted her. Xiaofan let out a sigh of relief and then scolded angrily, "That Ma Dragonfly is too despicable. He actually used such a despicable method to deal with me. Xiaofan, quickly teach him a lesson for me." Apart from feeling disgusted, Xiaofan also felt a lingering fear for no reason. Fortunately, Xiaofan was by her side this time, protecting her at all times. Otherwise, it was very likely that Ma Qingting would have succeeded. If that really happened, she would not have the face to continue living in the future. Xiaofan rubbed his nose and said innocently, I don't think I can teach him a lesson." Ma Dragonfly, wow, Xiaofan, you actually dare to not listen to me. Believe it or not, I will clear out your villa. Xiaofan glared at Xiaofan and shouted, completely forgetting that Xiaofan was no longer her servant. "That's not it. Actually, I already killed him just now, so even if you want me to teach him a lesson, I have no target." Xiaofan shrugged and explained simply. "Ah!" Xiaofan exclaimed, and her anger turned to worry. She looked at Xiaofan and said, "Why did you kill again? He dared to have improper thoughts towards you, so I killed him directly. It was already letting him off easy." Xiaofan snorted coldly. Then, he thought of something. "Oh, that's right. Xiaofan was outside earlier as well. It looks like he was keeping watch nearby. However, in order to see if you were fine, I didn't kill him as well." However, although he downplayed it, Xiaofan had a faint feeling of uneasiness in his heart. It seemed that he shouldn't have let Xiaofan go so easily, and he didn't know why. Humph. Xiaofan. He was the one who should have been beaten to death. He used to think of ways to frame you, and he even betrayed the Cheng family. This kind of scum should have died long ago. Xiaofan clenched her small fist angrily and waved it in the air. She was obviously very dissatisfied. Xiaofan smiled noncommittally. If it were his temper in the past, he might have long killed Xiaofan. But now, Xiaofan felt that he was no different from a dead person. As long as he didn't do something too overboard and didn't touch his bottom line, he would let Xiaofan live an ignoble existence for the time being. Either way, his backer had already fallen. Even if he lived, it was also a fate worse than death. Xiaofan sprinted madly all the way with Ma Qingfei's corpse on his back. Rushing to Ma Baijia's room, he banged heavily on the door a few times, and shouted in a hoarse voice, "Sect Master Ma, things are bad. Young Sect Master was killed by Xiao Chen. Who's making a big fuss? What did you say?" Ma Baizhi was currently cultivating in the room. Hearing someone knocking on the door, he was displeased in his heart and was just about to berate when he suddenly heard such a sentence. Anger immediately rushed to his head, and he almost went berserk. Forcefully suppressing the churning demonic qi in his body, Ma Baizhi rushed out in a hurry. Just as he stepped out of the door, the first thing he saw was Ma Qingfei lying on the ground covered in blood, motionless with a face full of death. Ma Baizhi turned pale with fright and directly pounced forward, shaking his son's corpse with a face full of inexplicable grief. Seeing this, Xiaofan didn't dare to make a sound. He stood blankly at the side like a wooden stake, a myriad of thoughts tumbling endlessly in his head. Usually, relying on Ma Qingfei's backing, he had always been bossy in the Qishan sect, and even offended a lot of people because of this. Now that his backer was gone just like that, would there be a lot of people anxiously waiting to settle the score with him? Sigh, if I had known earlier, I would have just run away. Why did I have to go through the trouble of bringing Ma Qingfei's corpse over? Looking at the sect master's sorrowful look, if he became muddle-headed in anger and wanted to kill me to accompany his son in death, wouldn't I die a wrongful death? Tell me clearly. What exactly happened? Why did Xiao Chen lay his hands on Ma Qingfei? As Xiaofan's imagination ran wild, Ma Baizhi suddenly grabbed his collar and roared furiously. Ma Baizhi simply hated Xiaofan to the core. Previously, it was because of his nonsense that he was forced to reveal the news of Qi Tian's sect to Xiao Chen. Now, he even brought the grievous news of his son's tragic death. If he didn't need him to explain the situation, Ma Baizhi would have killed him with a slap. Xiaofan was sweating profusely and hurriedly answered, Reporting to Sect Master, it was young Sect Master who wanted to look for Cheng Menjing at night, to chat. In the end, that Xiao Chen went crazy for some reason and directly rushed in and killed young Sect Master. I was quite far away at that time. When I wanted to rush over, it was already too late. Naturally, Xiaofan dared not tell the truth. After all, in the eyes of martial artists, using knockout smoke and poison were some despicable tricks. As the dignified young sect master of Kuei Mountain Sect, wouldn't he be ridiculed by others if he relied on these things to seize a girl's chastity? Xiaofan was not stupid. Of course, he would not leave such an excuse for others to gossip about him. Why? Ma Baizhi swung his hand fiercely and threw Xiaofan aside. He was flustered and exasperated as he roared with bloodshot eyes, "Xiao Chen! I'm going to tear you into pieces." Ma Baizhi was already mad at this time. He no longer cared about the orders from his superiors and directly flew towards the Cheng family's courtyard at the fastest speed possible. Recently, he had already suffered a lot of resentment from Xiao Chen. But for the Order of Awakening Heavenly Sect, he thought that it would be fine if he just tolerated it. In the end, he did not expect that even his son's life would be lost in Xiao Chen's hands. Originally, Ma Baizhi only planned to play some tricks in the crusade meeting to embarrass Xiao Chen so that he could vent his anger. But now, he decided to kill him directly. Only then could he appease the pain of losing his son and the hatred in his heart. "Xiao Chen! Get out here!" In just a few breaths, Ma Baizhi was already standing in the Cheng family's courtyard. His eyes were bloodshot as he roared towards the room in front of him. Xiao Chen yawned and walked out of the room sleepily. He picked his ears and said impatiently, "Ma Baizhi, did you take the wrong medicine? Why are you shouting in the courtyard in the middle of the night? Even if you can't disturb me, it's not good to disturb the flower, the campus bell." After a while, Cheng Menjing also came out. She first bowed to Ma Baizhi and then explained, "Sect leader Ma, you can't blame Xiaochen for Ma Longting's death. He wanted to molest me first. Xiaochen just blocked it for me." Although Cheng Menjing knew that Xiaochen's strength was higher than Ma Baizhi's, they were still in the territory of the Kuei Mountain sect after all. They could not be too arrogant. "I don't care. Anyway, Xiaochen killed my son, so I want him to pay with his life." Ma Baizhi's eyes were bloodshot at this time. He could not listen to any reason. He waved his hand and directly circulated the devil qi in his body, and suddenly attacked Xiaochen's chest. "Go to hell, Xiaochen. I say, you really overestimate yourself. You only have the cultivation of half-step Devil King, and you dare to challenge me?" Xiaochen sneered and displayed the strength of the peak of Devil King level 2. When he was about to attack, he suddenly heard Elder Heaven Ancestor yelling in his mind, "Xiaochen! Get out of the way. You are no match for him." Xiaochen was stunned. Suddenly, he felt an overwhelming pressure surging towards him. He looked up in disbelief and suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Ma Baizhi was actually in the peak of Devil King level 10. In the blink of an eye, Ma Baizhi was already in front of him. Xiaochen subconsciously wanted to dodge, but he stopped in his tracks. Missy was standing behind him. If he dodged, she would be the one to be attacked. She only had the strength of a devil master. If she faced Ma Baizhi, she would most likely die. With that thought in mind, Xiaochen circulated all of his strength and braced himself to take a step forward. He also launched a palm strike at Ma Wuxia. Bang! A loud noise was heard. Their palms collided fiercely. Xiaochen was pushed back a few steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, and he was obviously seriously injured. Ma Baizhi's body only swayed a little, but his expression was normal. "Ha ha ha. Ignorant child, you are only at the peak of Devil King level 2. How dare you challenge me in front of me?" Ma Baizhi was a little puzzled. He attacked with all his strength. Logically speaking, Xiaochen should have died directly. How could he not die? Chapter 862. However, he couldn't care less. Once again, he exerted all his strength and pushed his palm forward. "Brat, be buried with my son. This day next year will be the day of your death." Cough, cough. "Old man, say that after you hurt me." Xiaochen didn't continue the fight. Instead, he quickly retreated and took out his flying sword. He grabbed Cheng Menjing's hand and jumped on it. Then, he escaped from the Kuei Mountain sect and sped towards Songning City. What? Ma Minqi watched as his palm strike missed. He was rather surprised. Xiaochen actually had such an arcane treasure. Humph. Ma Wuxia snorted coldly and stared at Xiaochen's rapidly disappearing silhouette. He roared into the sky, "Xiaochen! No matter where you run to, I'll kill you and avenge my son." Before he finished speaking, he quickly chased in the direction that Xiaochen had left in. However, although Ma Wuxia was a Demon King level 10 perfection cultivator, he couldn't run as fast as the flying sword. After chasing for a while, he realized that the distance between him and Xiaochen was getting further and further. So, he stopped and returned to the Kuei Mountain sect angrily. Since he couldn't catch up, Ma Wuxia changed his method. Once he returned to the sect, he immediately issued a boundless kill order and sent out all the disciples. He ordered them to search in the direction where Xiaochen escaped and to report back immediately if they found any clues. Meanwhile, Ma Wuxia stayed in the sect, waiting for news at any time. He also started to organize Ma Longting's funeral. Since Xiaochen and the Kuei Mountain sect had officially broken off, and Ma Wuxia issued a kill order, the subjugation meeting naturally came to an end. The news soon reached Awakening sect. What surprised Ma Wuxia was that Awakening sect didn't reprimand him severely. Instead, they just watched quietly, as if they didn't know about it at all. Ma Wuxia thought about it and concluded that the higher-ups must have felt sorry for him after learning about his situation. That was why they allowed him to avenge their son. In reality, Situ Chitian didn't care about the dragonflies or butterflies. He just wanted to watch the show. He wanted to know if the people behind Xiao Chun would jump out to help if he was being chased by the great perfection of the Demon King level 10. After that, Situ Chitian quickly called for a sect meeting. He was worried that if something like this happened, the other sects in the martial arts world would use Ma Daobao's strength as an excuse to pick a fight with Awakening Heaven sect. Therefore, he had to immediately discuss the countermeasures for the future. During the meeting, Situ Chitian first vented his anger and reprimanded Ma Wuxia for not caring about the big picture and for being a fool. Even if he wanted to take revenge for his son, he should have done it slowly instead of revealing his strength so easily, which caused the pressure on Awakening Heaven sect and the martial arts world to increase greatly. After all, Ma Wuxia was a chess piece that Awakening Heaven sect had set up in the martial arts world. Situ Chitian let him enter the Quishan sect and become the sect master in order to better control the martial arts world and provide Awakening Heaven sect with a steady stream of funds and outstanding disciples so that Awakening Heaven sect could develop more steadily. Now that Ma Wuxia had accidentally revealed his strength, he wouldn't be able to stay in the martial arts world for too long. According to the rules, Situ Chitian had to summon him back to Awakening Heaven sect sooner or later. Otherwise, the other sects in the martial arts world would definitely not let it go. Originally, Ma Wuxia should have returned to the martial arts world immediately, but Situ Chitian still wanted to see the situation after Xiao Chun was chased. Moreover, Ma Wuxia definitely wouldn't be willing to let go of the hatred of his son and come back. Therefore, after the discussion in the sect meeting, Situ Chitian conveyed the latest order to Ma Wuxia: let him be more careful when doing things and don't leave any clues for other sects to find out. Only then could he be tormented for a while. He also promised Ma Wuxia that he would summon him back after everything was settled. After everything was settled, Situ Chitian found Elder Sun and secretly assigned him a task. Little Xing, how's your recovery? The sect master has a new mission for you. Elder Sun received Situ Chitian's order and immediately called Little Chick Xing. Elder Sun, my strength has basically recovered. Little Xing said calmly on the other end of the phone. Your task this time is to go to the Quishan sect and secretly monitor Ma Wuxia's every move. See how he will deal with Xiao Chun. If he is about to make a move on Xiao Chun, you will help him secretly, understand? Elder Sun instructed solemnly. I remember that Ma Wuxia should be at the Demon King level 10 great perfection, right? His strength should be more than enough to deal with Xiao Chun. There's no need for me to help, right? Little Xing was very puzzled. She thought to herself, could it be that Xiao Chen's strength has increased again? Even Ma Wuxia is helpless against him? Then even if I go, I won't be of much help. It seems like you don't understand. The purpose of this task is for you to protect Xiao Chen. You can't let Ma Wuxia kill him. If necessary, you'd better help him. Otherwise, if Xiao Chen really dies, how are we going to lure those people out? Elder Sun said with a tone of reproach. Oh. I see. I understand. I'll go now. Little Xing finally understood and quickly agreed. However, she was a little depressed. Not only could she not teach this lecher a lesson, she also had to protect him. Really? At this moment, Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing were still standing on the fast-flying sword. Xiao Chen, where are we going? Cheng Menjing helped Xiao Chen stand on the flying sword. Her voice was a little shaky. She wasn't frightened by the horses zigzagging, but she doubted whether the narrow sword body could bear the weight of two people. She felt shaky and unsteady as she flew. She looked down and saw the scenery moving at high speed, which made her a little nervous. Cough, cough, cough. Xiao Chen covered his mouth with his left hand and coughed a few times. His right hand grabbed Cheng Menjing's arm tightly. He said in a deep voice, "Missy, let's go back to the villa by the Lidhua River first. It should be safe there." Looking down at his left palm, Xiaofan saw a patch of red. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. It seemed that he was seriously injured this time. He didn't expect Ma Wuxia to hide his strength. If he knew that Ma Wuxia was at the peak of the Demon King level 10, he would have taken Missy and run away. "Are your injuries serious? Why don't we go down first? I feel that the flying sword can't hold on any longer." Cheng Menjing could feel that Xiaofan was very weak. She couldn't help but say worriedly. The flying sword under her feet seemed to be getting slower and slower. It seemed like it was going to stop soon. "I'm fine. Don't worry. We'll be there soon." Xiaofan tried to comfort her. He also felt that the energy in his body was weakening. He had to shout in the spiritual space again, "Elder Heaven Ancestor, are you there? I can't hold on any longer. Can you help me control the flying sword for a while?" When he escaped from the Kuei mountain sect, Xiaofan knew that his injuries were more serious. He wanted to ask Elder Heaven Ancestor to come out and help him control the flying sword. However, he didn't know why there was no response even after he called him several times. Now, he could only try to call him again without holding out any hope. "Mas. Master." A weak voice suddenly came from the spiritual space. "I'm Nethery. Just now, Senior Heaven Ancestor and I, and Old Demon Fire Wolf joined hands, to help you block a palm strike. It consumed a lot of divine sense and mental force. They have already entered a dormant state." It turned out that the reason why Xiaofan didn't die from Ma Daki's full-force palm strike was because Elder Heaven Ancestor, Old Demon Fire Wolf, and Flame of the Underworld had helped him block most of the attack. Since Elder Heaven Ancestor and Old Demon Fire Wolf were more proficient in defense, they shared most of the damage. After the attack, they directly entered a dormant state. Flame of the Underworld, on the other hand, wasn't good at absorbing damage, so it barely had some mental force left. "What? How are they? Are they okay?" Xiaofan's body swayed. He was very shocked. No wonder Elder Heaven Ancestor didn't reply. It turned out that he had already entered a dormant state. "No. They're fine. They're just tired. After resting for a while, they'll be fine," Flame of the Underworld answered with great difficulty. After pondering for a while, Xiaofan said helplessly, "Well, it seems that I have to stop using the flying sword. Otherwise, with my current primordial chi, I can't fly to the villa at all. If I accidentally fall from the sky again, it'll be really troublesome." "Master, you don't have to stop. I can use mental force to send you back, but I'll also exhaust my mental force and enter a dormant state. At that time, you can only rely on yourself." Flame of the Underworld's voice became lower and lower, and finally, there was no sound. Xiaofan was shocked. He was about to open his mouth to stop it, but the flying sword under his feet suddenly trembled, as if it had regained its vitality. It sped up and flew in the direction of Song Ning Villa. An hour later, the flying sword successfully stopped at Song Ning's villa. Xiaofan put away the flying sword and dragged his exhausted steps as he opened the door and walked in. Cheng Menjing looked around the periphery of the villa, and then followed behind Xiaofan. Thinking back to the good time they had spent in the villa, the young miss could not help but feel emotional. She didn't expect that after so many days, she and Xiaofan would be the first to return here. "Ah!" Xiaofan, something went behind the sofa. As soon as she stepped into the hall, Cheng Menjing saw a black shadow flashing not far away at a very fast speed. She was shocked and exclaimed, "No way. Are you sure you're not mistaken? No one has lived in the villa for so long. Even if there are mice, they should have starved to death." Xiaofan said disapprovingly. He was about to reach out to turn on the light, but he suddenly felt something approaching the position where he was standing at a very fast speed. Woof! Just as Xiao Chen's hand turned on the light, that thing let out a loud roar and pounced on him. Then, it froze for a moment before suddenly wagging its tail. Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing took a closer look. The thing was a big black dog. Chapter 863. This is the universe's super invincible dog. Why is it still living in the villa? And it looks so healthy. Could it be that there are kind-hearted people feeding it? Cheng Menjing asked, puzzled. She and Xiao Chen had been gone for so long, and that Yi Xiaoye had long returned to the Devil Star sect, so how did this dog survive? I forgot to tell you, Invincible Dog is really invincible now. Don't be fooled by its small size, it's actually a level 1 Devil Master. Damn! It actually rose to the peak of level 10 Devil Master. Xiao Chen was originally carrying the universe's super invincible dog down, but as he spoke, he took a closer look and couldn't help but curse. He stared at Invincible Dog in disbelief. Wasn't this little thing leveling up too fast? Compared to him, it wasn't much weaker. What did you say? Cheng Menjing got a huge shock and hurriedly took a close look at the unrivaled dog. Discovering that what Xiao Chen said was indeed right, her entire face immediately darkened and she said gloomily, Its cultivation is even higher than mine. This lady can't even compare to a stray dog. What's the point of cultivating? Cheng Menjing really felt a deep sense of defeat. She was at least able to cultivate in a place like the Kuei Mountain sect, where the heaven and earth spiritual qi was abundant, and she also consumed a lot of expensive medicinal herbs to be able to advance to level 1 Devil Master in such a short period of time. She originally thought that although her aptitude wasn't too outstanding, it wouldn't be too bad either. In the end, she couldn't even compare to Xiao Chen, this trash, and in the end, she wasn't even as strong as a stray dog. There was no justice in this world. Missy, don't be too sad. Invincible Dog being able to reach this realm is actually a special case. It secretly ate the medicinal dregs left behind by Yi Xiaoye and I, and then somehow became a cultivator dog. Xiao Chen saw that Cheng Menjing was about to lose hope and quickly explained. Medicinal dregs? Is it the kind you gave Grandpa Jean to eat? Do you have any leftover medicinal dregs? Hurry up and hand it over. Give as much as you have. I want to try some too, maybe I can also level up. If I'm not careful, I'll be able to reach level 10 Perfect Devil King. Cheng Menjing's eyes lit up as she eagerly pulled Xiao Chen. This series of recent encounters made the Missy strongly realize for the first time how important it was to improve her own strength. Don't even think about it. Those medicinal dregs can only be used for healing. They cannot increase a cultivator's level, otherwise I would have given them to you long ago. Invincible Dog is probably because of physique, it is, and it is. Xiao Chen shrugged his shoulders helplessly. Those medicinal dregs weren't anything rare. If he could use them, he wouldn't mind letting the eldest miss use them. Sigh, forget it. I'll just cultivate in peace. When Cheng Menjing heard this, she shook her head in disappointment. She had thought that she could increase her strength quickly and help Xiao Chen when she encountered danger. However, it seemed that it was impossible now. She could only cultivate steadily and steadily. Alright, it's very late now, you should rest early. I don't think this villa is very safe. There are also the Xiao family and the Cheng family. I guess the Quishan sect will target us sooner or later. Let's move to another place tomorrow. As Xiao Chen spoke to Cheng Menjing, he walked back and forth in the villa, using his remaining vitality to set up a few surveillance arrays. Cheng Menjing had experienced so many things today and was really tired. She didn't say much and turned back to her room. The Invincible Dog followed Xiao Chen's side eagerly. Xiao Chen finished setting up the magic circle, then squatted down and said to Invincible Dog, "Invincible Dog, I'm injured, and Miss isn't strong enough. We're here to seek refuge, so we need your help. The invincible dog looked at Xiaofan and barked, as if it could completely understand what he was saying. While I'm healing, look after the house. Don't let any strangers in. If anyone tries to sneak in, let me know immediately. Can you do that? Xiaofan knew what Invincible Dog was capable of, so he went straight to the point. Invincible Dog barked again, ran to the door of the villa, and lay down. Then, it turned to look at Xiaofan. I'm going back to heal first. When things are over, I'll boil some herbal dregs for you. Xiaofan nodded happily, then turned back to his room. Xiaofan took a shower first, then sat down cross-legged to check his internal injuries. After a while, Xiaofan was depressed to find that although his injuries weren't too serious and could be healed with vitality, there seemed to be some demonic qi left in his body, blocking his dantian. It was difficult to get rid of it in a short time. In this way, it was difficult for him to fully exert his strength. If he were to fight Wuxia, he basically had no chance of winning. The situation was really not optimistic. Xiaofan sighed. It seemed that he could only use vitality to heal his internal injuries first, then think of a way to slowly refine this demonic qi. Hopefully, there wouldn't be two strong enemies looking for trouble during this period of recovery. The next morning, while Xiaofan was still healing himself, his phone, which was at the side, suddenly rang. Xiaofan opened his eyes, picked up the phone, and saw that it was Xiaofan. He quickly pressed the answer button. Xiaofan, I heard that you killed Ma Longfly from the Qishan sect last night. Where are you now? What's going on? Before Xiaofan could speak, Xiaofan on the other end of the phone asked impatiently, his tone very anxious. Well, it's like this. Xiaofan nodded, briefly explained what happened, then told Xiaofan that he was now back in Songning City. Sai, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you're really too impulsive. Xiaofan said with a tone of reproach, Wuxia has now issued an endless kill order and sent out most of the Qishan sect's disciples. They're doing their best to hunt you down. I understand. Xiaofan had already expected this situation. Judging from Wuxia's crazy expression last night, he would definitely not let him go so easily. Bureau Chief Ling has already gone to help you. He asked me to tell you that your bank card is being monitored by the Qishan sect. Don't use the money in the card for now. Xiaofan instructed. What? The Qishan sect is so powerful? They can even monitor my bank card? Isn't this a matter of the secular world? Even the Supernatural Investigation Bureau can't do anything to them? This sect is way too powerful. Xiaofan was really shocked this time. He thought that with the Supernatural Investigation Bureau backing him up, the Qishan sect should be more restrained in the secular world. He did not expect it to become so troublesome. Sai, the Qishan sect is also connected to the secular world. They also have considerable strength and informants in the secular world. The bank that you deposited your money in is coincidentally controlled by the Qishan sect, so, you know. Xiaofan's tone was also very helpless. Although he was the deputy bureau chief of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, which sounded very powerful, there was nothing he could do against the Qishan sect. What the F***ck? Xiaofan was depressed. He suddenly thought of a serious matter. Oh yes, if I don't touch the money, Wuxia shouldn't have the right to transfer all my money, right? If that's the case, I'll be at a huge loss. He had billions of savings in the bank. Wuxia, that bastard, might just take advantage of it. At the thought of this, Xiaofan was speechless. That's definitely impossible, unless he doesn't want to open his bank anymore. However, as long as you touch the funds, whether it's a transfer or a withdrawal, Wuxia will find out. So you better be careful. Don't use the money in your card for now. If you need money, I can give you some first. Xiaofan was also helpless in this matter, so he could only provide some financial help. That's not necessary. I still have some money with me. It should be enough. Although the money in the bank could not be used, Xiaochen did not need to borrow Xia Zhili's money. At most, he could go back to his old business and sell breakfast again. Alright, call me if you have any difficulties. Xia Zhili did not force him. Before he hung up, he thought of something and warned him again, oh yes, get a new phone number as soon as possible. Don't use this old number for the time being. Who knows when someone will locate it. Okay, I got it. Xiaochen nodded and chatted with Xia Zhili for a while before hanging up. Looking at the time, it was already past 8 o'clock. Xiaochen put down the phone and ran out to buy breakfast. The fridge in the villa was already empty. Otherwise, he would have made something for the Missy himself. After buying breakfast, Xiaochen added some vitality to the breakfast as usual. Then, he went upstairs to wake the Missy up. When he stood at the door of the Missy's room, Xiaochen was slightly stunned. This feeling was too familiar, it was as if he had returned to the days when he was a servant. Not long after, Cheng Menjing walked out of the room yawning. Looking at the dark circles under her eyes, it was obvious that she did not sleep well. However, the Missy was considered a cultivator now, so it was not a big problem for her to sleep less. Therefore, she did not lose her temper at Xiaochen. While eating breakfast, Xiaochen told the Missy about his bank card being targeted by the Qishan sect. Cheng Menjing was also depressed after hearing it. This villa is probably not very safe. We may be monitored at any time. After breakfast, let's leave here. In case we are suddenly attacked. Xiaochen said while stuffing breakfast into his mouth. That's good, but then, where are we going to live? Cheng Menjing's face was a little gloomy. Since the Cheng family was grounded by the Qishan sect, the Cheng family had a hard time. She did not have much money at hand. Even if she wanted to rent a house, it was not practical. I've made up my mind. We'll move to the place where Tang Tang used to live and settle down. I'll go to the morning market to sell fried dough sticks for a while to earn some living expenses. After a while, we'll make other plans. Xiaochen said the countermeasures he had thought about. Although he could go back to the Xiao family, he thought it was better not to expose himself after hearing what Xia Zhili said. Chapter 864. Cheng Menjing didn't object. She knew that she couldn't ask her family for help now. Otherwise, they were likely to be involved, and it would be a big problem. After breakfast, they packed up. Cheng Menjing thought for a while and decided to take Invincible Dog with her. Its strength was very high now. If there was any danger, it might be able to help. When she returned to the Tang family, she bought the place where she used to live. After all, it had left her and Xiaochen a lot of good memories. So no one lived there and it had been vacant. Xiaochen opened the door with his primordial qi and walked in. How long has it been since someone lived here? And there is only one room and one bathroom. How can two of us live here? Cheng Menjing followed Xiaochen and looked around. She couldn't help but complain in a low voice. Looking at the corridor that was covered in cobwebs, as well as the dusty desk and bed, the young lady was about to collapse. On the way here, Cheng Menjing saw the dilapidated outer wall of the community, and her heart was faintly worried. Originally, she secretly prayed that this was a special period, and she couldn't ask for too much. As long as the place could be a little cleaner and brighter, it would be enough. She didn't expect the real situation to be so terrible. It's not that bad, is it? But it's a little dirty. It's okay. Wait a minute. I'll clean it up. Xiaochen scratched his head and took the initiative to pick up the broom. He began to clean the room inside and outside. Cheng Menjing stood at the side and watched for a while. When she saw Xiaochen busy himself, she felt a little apologetic. She mentally prepared herself for a long time and finally plucked up the courage to put on the rubber gloves and apron from the villa. Then she picked up a rag and a bucket and began to help Xiaochen clean. After working for about half an hour, the two of them finally cleaned the whole house. Cheng Menjing looked at the clean house and admired the results of her labor. She nodded with satisfaction. In the past, when she was at home, she basically didn't do housework. Now that she finally had the chance to do it, her heart was immediately filled with a sense of accomplishment. "Aya, eldest miss, your face is covered in dust, you look like a big tabby cat. Stand there and don't move. I'll help you wipe it," Xiao Qin said as he took out a wet tissue and carefully wiped the stains on Cheng Menjing's face. "Oh, thank you." Cheng Menjing closed her eyes in embarrassment and let the wet tissue gently wipe her cheeks. A strange sense of happiness suddenly welled up in her heart. She felt that she and Xiao Qin were like a loving couple. Ah! What am I thinking? Cheng Menjing's heart skipped a beat and she quickly held her breath, fearing that Xiao Qin would notice something wrong. "Alright, it's all cleaned up." Xiao Qin threw the wet tissue into the wastepaper basket, then took out the mat he brought from the villa and laid it on the narrow corridor. What are you doing?" Cheng Menjing, who had just enjoyed the feeling of happiness, asked in astonishment. Xiao Qin pointed to the room and said, "You sleep in my room from now on, and I'll sleep here." No way. It's so narrow that I can't even turn over. How can I sleep here? You'd better sleep on the floor in the room. It's more comfortable than squeezing in the corridor. Cheng Menjing didn't expect that Xiao Qin would take the initiative to sleep on the floor in the corridor. She was a little bit reluctant and said hesitantly, "That's not good, is it? You're the eldest miss, of course, you should sleep in the big room. I'm just a servant. How can I sleep in the same room with you? People will think that I'm taking advantage of you." Xiao Qin smiled and shook his head. Originally, Cheng Menjing was a little hesitant, but when she heard what Xiao Qin said, she suddenly became stubborn. She put her hands on her waist and said, "If I ask you to sleep, you should sleep. You're a man, don't be so wishy-washy." "What servant? I'm your fiancé." Cheng Menjing stared at Xiao Qin with hatred. She didn't know if this guy did it on purpose. He didn't sleep in the room, but in the corridor. "Oh? You want me to sleep with you?" Xiao Qin pretended to be ignorant and teased. "You? How dare you? Believe it or not, I'll kick you into the sky. Just like the horse dragonfly." Cheng Menjing's face immediately turned red. She rolled her eyes at Xiao Qin in annoyance and said while gritting her teeth. She even raised her leg as if to show off. "Ugh. I'm just kidding. Why did you take it seriously?" Xiao Qin laughed. He picked up the mat again and took it to the room to lay it. Then, he walked out with the basket. As he walked, he said, "Menjing, I'm going to buy some daily necessities and things for tomorrow's stall. Then, I'll buy some vegetables and prepare for tonight's dinner. You stay at home and play with Invincible Dog. Wait for me. I'm going too. There's nothing here. I'll be bored to death if I just stay here." Cheng Menjing quickly followed. She wanted to watch a few episodes of School Bell's Bodyguard on iQIYI, but this broken place didn't even have Wi-Fi. Woof! Invincible Dog, who was originally sleeping in the corner, also barked and ran over. It followed closely behind them. It seemed that it didn't want to stay at home. "Well, then let's go together." Xiao Qin smiled bitterly and shook his head. It seemed that after he made money from selling breakfast, the first thing he needed to do was to install Wi-Fi. Now that the price of broadband had dropped and increased, he could still afford it. Two people and a dog strolled to the vicinity of the morning market. They walked into the market and began to stroll. They looked like a young couple, a perfect match, which attracted many envious gazes. This was the first time Miss Cheng went to the market in her life. As she walked, she looked around. No matter what she saw, she felt that everything was very fresh. Xiao Qin had been here many times, so he was already familiar with the place. He first bought some vegetables and meat for dinner. Then, he bought a bag of flour and a bag of soybeans for tomorrow's breakfast. Finally, he bought some daily necessities. Feeling that he had bought almost everything, Xiaochen carried a few big bags and left the market with Cheng Menjing and Invincible Dog. The shopping process was very smooth, but what surprised Xiaochen was that although it was the young mistress's first time shopping in the market, she was very experienced in haggling, as if it was a natural skill she had. Sometimes, just for the price of a few cents, she would argue until the other party had no choice but to compromise. "Humph. How is it? I'm good, right? I helped you save a few yuan this time." Cheng Menjing was also carrying 2 bags of fruits in her hands. She looked very proud. "I didn't expect to bargain with those hawkers. It seems that it is quite interesting. It seems that I can often come here to practice in the future. I say, young miss, although we really don't have much money now, you don't have to fight with others for a few cents, right? Those vegetable hawkers are actually not having it easy. We don't lack that little money." Xiaochen smiled helplessly. Recalling the scene of Cheng Menjing arguing with the hawker, he still felt that it was a little unbelievable. Who would have thought that the young miss of Songning's first aristocratic family would actually bargain with a vegetable hawker in the market for a small profit? No one would believe it if it was said out. Cheng Menjing didn't wait for the praise, but she heard a criticism instead. She was suddenly furious. She stared at Xiaochen and said angrily, "Wow, Xiaochen, when you were down and out, in order to buy a few packets of instant noodles, you had to bargain with others. In the end, you only saved 30 cents after dawdling for an hour. Now you are actually criticizing me? Ugh. Well, it seems that our bargaining skills are not good. Enemies really don't meet each other." Xiaochen shook his head and teased. He took one of the bags of fruits from the young mistress' hands and suddenly made a turn. He did not walk into the neighborhood that the two of them lived in. Instead, he walked toward a grocery store not far away. "TSK. Who is your enemy? Don't think so highly of yourself." Cheng Menjing pouted. She was about to belittle Xiaochen a few more words when she suddenly saw him walking to the grocery store. She thought that Xiaochen was going to buy something again, so she quickly chased after him and asked, "What else do you want to buy? We've spent a lot of money today." Xiaochen didn't have time to explain to Cheng Menjing. He directly greeted the old lady sitting outside the grocery store. "Auntie, do you still remember me?" The old lady, who had been basking in the sun, raised her head and looked at Xiaochen carefully. She nodded and said, "Yes, I do. Aren't you my boyfriend?" Xiaochen put the fruits on the table and said with a smile, "Thank you for looking after our tricycle and equipment for me and Tang Tang. These fruits are for you to eat. Please like them." After Tang Tang left, the old lady of the grocery store kept her tricycle and equipment very well. In order to prevent them from getting wet in the rain, she specially covered them with a plastic sheet. Xiaochen had seen it just now with his sharp eyes. The old lady waved her hand and said with a little embarrassment, "Hey. It's good enough that you remember to visit me. Why did you spend money to buy fruits? Don't you know how sorry I am?" It's my pleasure. I've troubled you for so long. It's a little gift from me and Tang Tang." Xiaochen replied with a smile. In fact, Xiaochen originally wanted to give the old lady a sum of money so that she could enjoy her leisure life. She didn't have to work from dawn to dusk to open the store. But considering that he didn't have much money on hand, he had to put it aside for the time being. He would give it to her when he made money in the future. Cheng Menjing stood beside him for a while. Only then did she understand Xiaochen's intention. Although she was very satisfied with Xiaochen's humble and polite attitude toward the old lady, when she heard Tang Tang's boyfriend, she got angry again. Since even the old lady said so, it meant that these two people had been secretly having sex for a long time. This Xiaochen obviously didn't take me, his fiancée, seriously. Cheng Menjing, who was in a bad mood, glared at Xiao Chen and snorted coldly from her nostrils. Chapter 865. Oh. You are. Tang Tang? The old woman heard the voice and turned around. But when she saw Cheng Menjing's appearance, she was stunned and asked doubtfully. I'm not. Cheng Menjing answered grumpily. Are your eyes blind? Tang Tang was so fat. How could I be her? I'm the campus belle. The old woman seemed to hear Cheng Menjing's murmur in her heart. She looked at her carefully and shook her head. No. Even if Tang Tang lost weight, she's still better looking than you. Young man, what's going on? I think you and Tang Tang are a good match. How could you fall in love with someone else? You. Humph. Cheng Menjing was so angry that she almost fainted. She wanted to say something to refute, but she didn't know how to say it. She couldn't lose her temper to an old woman, could she? So she could only stand there and sulk. Well. Auntie, I'm here to tell you that my friend wants to do some small business in this morning market. He needs to borrow Tang Tang's tricycle and equipment. So please take care of him in the future. Xiao Chen was also a little embarrassed, so he changed the topic and said his purpose of coming here. He didn't want to say too much to the old woman. After all, the old woman was just an ordinary person in the secular world. Even if he wanted to explain Tang Tang's experience, it would take a long time. Oh, okay, I see. The old woman changed her previous warm attitude and responded indifferently. Obviously, she was not very satisfied with Xiao Chen's abandonment of Tang Tang, and her face didn't look very good. Thank you very much. I'm leaving now. Bye, Auntie. Xiao Chen said goodbye with a bitter smile. He could also see that the old woman didn't like him, but he couldn't deal with it properly. He had to leave with Cheng Menjing. Alas, young people nowadays forget their roots when they have a little money in their pockets. I must post this on Weibo and denounce him. The old woman looked at Xiao Chen's back, shook her head and sighed. Then she took out the ancient smartphone and pressed it. If Xiao Chen knew about this, he would probably vomit blood, right? When they got home, it was already night time. Xiao Chen went straight to the kitchen and made a few dishes for dinner with the things he bought today. Although the dishes were still delicious, Cheng Menjing was a little unhappy. It was obvious that she was still bothered by the previous incident. Damn it. How dare she say that I'm not as beautiful as Tang Tang? That old lady is so blind. Xiao Chen, why are you looking for her when you have nothing better to do? Cheng Menjing pouted and kept poking at the rice in her bowl with her chopsticks as she complained unhappily. I have to borrow something. I can't possibly use my original appearance to set up a stall tomorrow, right? Wouldn't that be waiting to be caught? If I change my appearance and the old lady doesn't recognize me, wouldn't it be troublesome if she refuses to lend me those things? Xiao Chen explained helplessly. Originally, he just wanted to explain to the old lady, but he didn't expect the old lady to be so outspoken, resulting in such an awkward situation. Humph. Tell me honestly, between me and Tang Tang, who is prettier? Cheng Menjing knew the reason behind Xiao Chen's action, but she still persisted in her questions. Cheng Menjing knew the reason behind Xiao Chen's actions. Well. To be honest, both of you are very beautiful. Miss, your temperament is better, and Tang Tang's figure is better. All in all, you each have your own merits. Xiao Chen thought for a moment and replied solemnly. He did not want to be too sure, in case he said too much and made more mistakes. Well, that's more like it. Cheng Menjing finally nodded in satisfaction. In fact, she knew that her breasts were not as big as Jean Bei's and Tang Tang's, but at least her temperament was better than theirs. That was enough. After dinner, Xiao Chen cleaned up the tableware and began to make the materials for tomorrow. Cheng Menjing was very bored. She wanted to help Xiao Chen, but after trying a few times, she still could not figure out the way. In a fit of anger, she directly returned to her room and played with the invincible dog. It was a quiet night. At 4:00 in the morning the next day, Xiaofan got up on time. He turned his face into someone else's and prepared to sell breakfast. Hearing the noise, Cheng Menjing woke up, too. She struggled to get out of bed tiredly. Xiaofan, wait a minute. I'm going to sell breakfast with you, too. The young lady particularly wanted to help Xiaofan. She could not let him do all the work alone. After all, she was a major reason why the two of them ended up like this. That's unnecessary. Selling breakfast is too exhausting. Besides, there is a lot of smoke when I fry the deep-fried dough sticks. It won't be good if your eyes get blinded. I can take care of it myself. Just sleep a little longer. I'll come back and make breakfast for you after I'm done. Xiaofan waved his hand and motioned Cheng Menjing to go back to sleep. He did not want the young lady to suffer with him. You don't have to worry about that. Anyway, I can do what Tang Tang can do. I'm not worse than her. Cheng Menjing said stubbornly. She was determined to go with Xiaofan. She was really stimulated by what the old auntie said yesterday. She wanted to do something with all her might. You can do what Tang Tang can do. She can help me. You don't seem to. Can you? Xiaofan could not help whispering. What did you say? Cheng Menjing widened her eyes and looked at Xiaofan incredulously. If it were someone else, she would have slapped him. Nothing much, I just said that you look good today. Xiaofan rubbed his nose a little awkwardly, he almost let it slip. Humph. No wonder you like her so much. It turns out that she seduces you like this every day. She's really, really shameless. Cheng Menjing rolled her eyes and muttered. I didn't. Don't blame Tang Tang wrongly. That was a long time ago, okay? We were really buddies before. Xiaofan was a little anxious to defend himself, but he felt a little helpless. Anyway, Tang Tang did hint to him several times at that time, but he didn't care at that time. Humph, you never speak the truth. Who would believe you? Cheng Menjing saw Xiaofan was still speaking for Tang Tang. She said angrily. Then. Are you still going to learn from Tang Tang? Xiaofan did not want to dwell on this matter, so he interrupted with a smile. I only learn from her good points. I don't learn from her bad points. I'm going to sell breakfast. And, all the money I earn will be at my disposal. Do you hear me? Cheng Menjing said aggressively with her hands on her waist. In fact, Tang Tang's time is also good. Xiaofan whispered again. But when he saw Cheng Menjing's face sank, he quickly said, well, if you really want to go, I have to put on makeup for you. Otherwise, if you go out like this, I'm afraid you will be exposed in a few days. Cheng Menjing had no opinion on this point. Therefore, Xiaofan took some of the cosmetics used by young mistresses and made her look like a village girl in no time. He even specially picked a simpler set of clothes for her to wear. After everything was done, the two of them picked up the things they had prepared yesterday and went out to the morning market street. When they arrived at the grocery store, Xiaofan put the things away and let Cheng Menjing sit in the back. Then he skillfully rode on the tricycle to the stall on the morning street. Because he and Tang Tang's stall had been given to Lin's family to sell beef plate noodles, Xiaofan did not intend to take it back. So he simply drove directly to the original location of the Lin's stall. Although the original stall of Lin's family was located at the back and the location was not very good, Xiaofan believed that with his craftsmanship, he could soon make the business prosperous again. After all, the previous prosperity was there. The ability of a cultivator was not just a bluff. Cheng Menjing, on the other hand, carefully sat behind the tricycle. As she watched Xiaofan leisurely ride the tricycle, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Regardless of whether it was a high-end sports car worth a few million, or an economical car worth a few $100,000, she had ridden on almost all of them. However, she never expected that she would be reduced to sitting behind a broken tricycle like this. He recalled a joke that he had seen on the internet before. It said that one would rather cry in a BMW than laugh behind a bicycle. But now that he was really sitting behind a bicycle, he felt that he couldn't laugh at all. Xiao Chen had no idea what the young lady was thinking at this time. He came to the previous stall of the Lin's family with familiarity, then jumped off the tricycle and moved down the oil pan, gas tank, and noodles one by one. He put them in the open space, lit a fire, and put it aside to preheat. He took out the dough prepared yesterday and skillfully began to knead the dough, kneading it into the shape of fried dough sticks and fried cakes. Xiao Chen, I remember that the previous stall of you and Tang Tang was very busy. It didn't seem to be so remote. Did you not come to the morning market street for a long time and remember the location wrong? Cheng Menjing also jumped off the tricycle, rubbed her but that hurt from sitting, looked around at the few passers-by around and asked with a puzzled face. Oh, the previous stall has already been given to Lin Kuer's family to sell beef noodles. This stall now belongs to their family. Because the location isn't too good, there will be fewer people. Xiao Chen was focused on kneading the dough, and didn't even raise his head as he replied. What? Lin? Cheng Menjing suddenly jumped up and said angrily, why give such a good stall to her? I order you to exchange it with her immediately. There are too few passers-by here, and the business must be bad. We can't make money. It was no wonder that the young lady was mad. She felt very uncomfortable as long as she heard the name of Lin. At that time, Xiao Chen left his beautiful fiancée and ran to pursue Lin. Now he even gave her the stall. It seemed that there was really a problem between the two in private. How can I do that? The thing has been given out. There is no reason to take it back. Xiao Chen did not agree to Cheng Menjing's request. Instead, he carefully put the long fried dough sticks into the pan and said while frying, besides, that stall was given to Lin by me. I have no right to ask. Chapter 866. Humph. You're talking nonsense. Why would you give the stall to others for no reason? The way I see it, you must still be thinking about Lin Kuer. That's why you don't dare to get her back and even want to push the blame onto Tang Tang. Cheng Menjing glanced sideways at Xiao Chen as she made sarcastic remarks. Xiao Chen shook his head and didn't bother to argue with Cheng Menjing. Instead, he skillfully threw the fried dough stick into the oil pan. It didn't take long for a golden and well-proportioned fried dough stick to be fried. Seeing that he didn't refute, Cheng Menjing was about to say a few more words. Seeing that Xiao Chen simply fried the fried dough stick, she immediately forgot the previous things and said eagerly, Xiao Chen, let me try. You go knead the dough. Miss, you can help me sell things. Let me do the rough work of frying the fried dough stick. Xiao Chen didn't give up his position immediately, but simply refused. He wasn't worried about Cheng Menjing's fried dough stick was not good, but he was afraid that the delicate and noble young lady would be scalded by the splashing oil foam. That would be troublesome. Well, stinky Xiao Chen, you look down on me, don't you? Although I haven't fried dough stick before, I may not be worse than you. You see, I'm born to bargain, right? Give me the chopsticks. Seeing that Xiao Chen actually refused her, Cheng Menjing simply grabbed the long chopsticks in his hand and fried them in a dignified manner. Well, then be careful, don't get scalded. Seeing this, Xiao Chen had to shake his head helplessly and concentrated on kneading the dough to make the fried dough stick. He also knew the temper of the young lady. As long as she wanted to try something, he basically couldn't pull her back, so he just let her be. Don't worry, I'm a cultivator now. Even if I get scalded a few times, it won't be a big deal, and I'm still wearing gloves, right? Cheng Menjing waved her hand and said confidently. Then she began to concentrate on turning the fried dough stick and fried cake in the pan. After a while, after making some reserve materials, Xiao Chen turned his head to look at the situation on Cheng Menjing's side. But at a glance, he was immediately shocked. Some of the youtiao that was fried by the eldest miss and placed outside were thick at one end and thin at the other end. Some were soft and didn't look cooked at all. There were also many that were directly fried until they were charred, making it impossible for people to eat them. They couldn't be eaten at all. As for the fried cakes, they were even more miserable. Some of them were mashed together, some of them were irregularly shaped, and there were even a few pieces of fillings that leaked out. They were lying crookedly on the plate. The scene was simply too horrible to look at. "I say, young lady, what kind of breakfast are you selling here?" An old man came to the stall with a vegetable basket. Obviously, he was passing by and wanted to eat breakfast. But at this time, he looked at the food on the stall with some confusion. He rubbed his eyes, thinking that his presbyopia was acting up again. Old man, are you kidding? I'm selling fried dough sticks and fried cakes. How can you not recognize them? Look. Cheng Menjing saw that a customer had finally come. She was about to introduce them, but when she heard the old man say that, she was suddenly unhappy. She wiped the sweat on her forehead, turned her head and pointed at the things that she had fried, and then, was stunned. No wonder the old man would say that. He couldn't tell what those balls of suspicious objects were. Ahem, I've lived for most of my life, and this is the first time I've seen fried dough sticks and fried cakes like this. The old man looked at it for a while, waved his hand, and said helplessly, "Forget it, I'll go eat something else. I don't know what will happen if I eat it. I still want to live a few more years." "Old man, wait a minute." Xiaofan saw that the situation was not good. He helped the old man to the table, and then quickly fried a few fried dough sticks. He put a bowl of tofu pudding on the table and said enthusiastically, "My shop just opened today. Maybe my girlfriend's cooking is not very good, so the fried is not very good. Please forgive me. Since you are our first customer, this breakfast is on me. I hope you don't mind." "Humph. Who is your girlfriend?" Cheng Menjing was ridiculed by the old man. She was already angry. When she heard Xiaofan talk to himself and said that she was his girlfriend, she snorted unwillingly and turned her face away. Okay. The old man looked at the fried dough sticks that Xiaofan fried. They were quite decent, so he was relieved. He sat on the chair and ate. He said while eating, "Young man, your cooking is really good. The fried dough sticks are just right, and the taste is also very good. Little girl, you still need to practice your hands a little more. Otherwise, sooner or later, this store of yours will close down because of you. You." Cheng Menjing was about to explode. "I gave you free food, and you still have so much to say. Really?" After the old man finished eating and left, Xiaofan cleaned up the table and took the chopsticks from Cheng Menjing's hand. He said casually, "Miss, let me do the fried dough sticks. You just need to be responsible for the marketing and sales." Xiaofan used the chopsticks to put all the food that Cheng Menjing fried into a bag. He planned to eat it as breakfast after closing the stall. Woof! When Xiaofan was about to put away the bag, Invincible Dog, who was squatting on the side, suddenly barked. Its small eyes stared at the bag in Xiaofan's hand, and then it stuck out its tongue and licked its lips. It looked like it was hungry. I almost forgot about you. Since you are hungry, I will give you something to eat first." Xiaofan took out 2 pieces of what looked like fried cakes and fried dough sticks from the bag and threw them in front of Invincible Dog. Invincible Dog did not care about the strange shapes of those things. It lowered its head and ate with relish. Shen. Although the food that I fried doesn't look good, there is no need for you to feed it to a dog. I think you are asking for a beating." Cheng Menjing roared angrily. If it were not for the fact that she had to maintain her ladylike image in public, she would have already kicked him. Since Invincible Dog is hungry, I will give it some first." Invincible dog is not an ordinary dog, how can it be the same? Xiaofan shrugged and said nonchalantly. Before Cheng Menjing could say anything, they heard two whimpering sounds under their feet. It turned out that Invincible dog had already finished eating. At this time, it raised its head and looked at the two of them with eager eyes. It kept wagging its tail, looking like it was not full. Stinky dog. You are not allowed to eat my food anymore. Other dogs can still pick up a purse or a slipper for their owner, but you can't do anything and still eat so much. I really don't know what the point of raising you is. Cheng Menjing angrily slapped Invincible dog's head and scolded it with a sullen face. Whoa! Invincible dog seemed to understand the young miss lesson. It lowered its head pitifully and pitifully. Sigh, you really are forgetful. Wasn't it Invincible dog who helped you find your bracelet? How can you say that it is useless? As Xiaofan spoke, her hands did not stop moving. Very quickly, she fried a lot of golden, shiny fried dough sticks and fried cakes. The stall was filled to the brim, and just looking at it made one's appetite increase. You still have the nerve to say that? Look at it yourself. We have been open for so long and only one customer came, and it was a free trial. Why are you frying so many fried dough sticks and fried cakes now? What if you can't sell them? Cheng Menjing did not care about being angry with Invincible dog and quickly asked anxiously. Seeing that it was getting late, there were more and more people on the morning market street, but no one came to patronize her business. It was really strange. Oh, don't be too anxious. Someone will come in a while. Xiaofan did not care and continued to lower her head to busy herself with the work in her hands. Although Cheng Menjing saw it and was anxious in her heart, there was nothing she could do at the moment. How could she advertise for business? She could only stand there stupidly and watch the crowd come and go. Her fingers kept rubbing her clothes, and her eyes kept rolling. No one knew what she was thinking. Selling fried dough sticks, soy milk, tofu pudding, fried cakes. That one, don't miss it. After a while, Cheng Menjing finally plucked up her courage and whispered to the crowd. However, her voice was like a mosquito's buzz, and it was quickly drowned in the bustling morning market street. No one heard it at all. Eldest miss, did you say something just now? I saw you open your mouth, but I didn't hear any sound for a long time. Did you already learn the skill of demonic sound transmission? Xiaofan had just finished the work in his hands and smiled as he teased. Go to hell. I am trying to advertise for business. Are your ears deaf? If you only work and don't shout, when will you be able to sell so many fried dough sticks? Cheng Menjing didn't make a sound like a mosquito this time. With a cold face, she said in a loud voice. You shouted so softly, who can hear you? Look who came to patronize. Xiaofan smiled and shook his head. If you have the ability, shout. Cheng Menjing was annoyed and depressed. She turned her head away hatefully. You can't shout like that. Xiaofan smiled slightly and shouted, take a look, take a look. The Tang breakfast shop has reopened. Today's opening promotion, 20% discount. Don't miss it. Today you can buy first serve, or you will have to wait in line to buy it tomorrow. Xiaofan's shout quickly attracted the attention of many passers-by, but most people were watching the fun, and few people were buying. Many people in the morning market had eaten the youtiao sold by Xiaofan, so they had a very deep impression of it. However, towards this newly opened stall, as well as the two completely unfamiliar faces, the passers-by only held the attitude of watching a bustling scene. They stood at the side and whispered to each other, no one was willing to be the first to try something new. Why Tang breakfast? Since it is opened by me, of course, it should be called Cheng's. Hurry up and change the name. Cheng Menjing frowned and ordered very unhappily. Although their equipment was borrowed from her, after all, she was the boss. How could she use a name that had nothing to do with her? Chapter 867 That's what we used to call it. It's a long-established brand. If we call it Cheng's, I guess no one will buy it. Xiaofan explained. But we can't use the name of Tang Tang. Now we're partners. How about, we call it Xiaoji's? Cheng Menjing held her chin and pondered for a while, then said thoughtfully. Puff. Hearing Cheng Menjing's words, Xiaofan almost choked. He blushed and choked for a long time before he said, Miss, can't you talk nicely? Just call it Xiaoji's. Don't use the word bar together. It's easy to misunderstand, okay? What do you mean? Misunderstand what? Cheng Menjing had no idea what Xiaofan was talking about. She was confused and repeated Xiaoji's bar several times. Then she realized something was wrong. She couldn't help but spit with a red face. Bah. I know you can't say anything good with your stupid mouth. You're so filthy. Shameless. You said it first. Why are you blaming me? Xiaofan was speechless. He touched his nose and muttered. I don't care. It's your fault anyway. Also, the name of our store is Cheng's. No more changes. Cheng Menjing put her hands on her hips and said firmly. Stop it. It's called Tang's because the old lady in the grocery store is surnamed Tang. This stall used to be hers. We're just borrowing it. Xiaofan said. Oh, I see. Okay then. Cheng Menjing didn't say anything. She just didn't want to have anything to do with Tang Tang. If it was the old lady's name, she wouldn't mind. As long as she could control the money earned from selling breakfast, it didn't matter what name it was. The Tang breakfast shop is reopening for business, 20% off for today's opening. Seeing that Cheng Menjing finally didn't object, Xiaofan hurriedly shouted a few more times. More and more people stopped in the surroundings, and people started to gradually approach his stall. Tang's breakfast store? I've never heard of it before. What reloading business? Could it be a scam? I think he must be bragging. The newcomers on this street all know how to brag, but in reality, they're probably not that great. I remember there used to be a fried dough stick shop at the end of the morning market. It was delicious, but it moved away. The onlookers looked at Xiaofan's fried dough sticks and whispered to each other. Although they were close, most of them were just onlookers. No one was willing to take the initiative to buy it, which made Cheng Menjing anxious. At this time, a middle-aged woman squeezed in and murmured thoughtfully, Huh? The Tang Empire? Isn't that the noodle stall in front? But this boss looks unfamiliar, seems to be someone else. I wonder how he's doing. Don't guess blindly. This stall's noodle is really good. I've personally tasted it just now. It's not worse than the previous noodle stall. You can rest assured and buy it. Outside the crowd, an old voice sounded. Cheng Menjing looked up and saw that it was the old man who had come to taste the food. The basket in his hand that was originally empty was now filled to the brim. It seemed that he had come back from buying groceries and was passing by, so he helped to put in a good word for her. Since this old man said so, then let's buy some to try. Anyway, it's just breakfast. It doesn't cost much. The middle-aged woman said casually. Then she walked a few steps to Xiaofan's stall, bought 2 fried dough sticks and a bowl of soy milk, and sat on the side. After taking a bite, the middle-aged woman's face showed a satisfied smile. She nodded heavily and said, Yes, this is the taste. It can't be wrong. It's really delicious. When everyone saw that the middle-aged woman was eating with relish, as if it was very delicious, they were finally a little tempted. They all came forward to buy it. The youtiao and fried cakes that Xiaofan had just fried were quickly sold out. After everyone ate it, they also praised it. They shouted that it was delicious and fought to buy a second portion. However, at this time, they couldn't buy it directly because many people didn't get it the first time. There was already a long line, so they could only line up at the back. Xiao Chen was busy again. He kept frying the fried dough sticks and fried cakes in the pan. Cheng Menjing was responsible for weighing the fried dough sticks and collecting money for the customers. Both of them were very busy. Once they were busy, time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, it was already past 8 in the morning. Because the business was very good, all the breakfast that Xiao Chen made had been sold out. There was not much left of the materials that he prepared yesterday, but he still left a little dough like before. He planned to give it to the old woman in the grocery store when he went back. Cheng Menjing carefully counted the income on the side. This was the first time she made money with her own ability. Although the money she earned was less than the fraction of her usual pocket money, and her whole face was greasy and her body was wet with sweat, her mood was very carefree. There was a different sense of satisfaction. "Hey! Who allowed you to set up a stall here?" When the two finished cleaning up and were preparing to close the stall, 2 guys in security uniforms suddenly walked over from a distance and stopped in front of the 2 people. One of them, a thin man with squinting eyes, crossed his arms and asked with a fierce face, "Do you have a stall permit? Have you paid the protection fee?" What protection fee? What's the permit for setting up a stall?" Cheng Menjing was shocked by the sudden appearance of the person and was stunned. "What protection fee? All the stalls in the morning market are bought out. Why haven't I heard of any stall permit? Are you from the market management office?" Xiao Chen frowned and asked. When he and Tang Tang set up a stall before, he didn't hear that there was a charge. "What's going on? Yo, you're quite arrogant, kid." The thin man with squinting eyes glared and took out a rubber stick from behind him. He knocked on the stall heavily and said fiercely, "Cut the crap. Let me tell you. If you want to set up a stall in the morning market, you have to pay a protection fee of 1,000 yuan. If you don't have a stall permit, you have to pay a fine of 1,000 yuan. If you want to continue to fool around here, hurry up and pay." Xiao Chen, is that true? Cheng Menjing didn't understand these things. They hadn't made any money yet, and now they had to pay a fine of 2,000 yuan. What should they do? Don't mind these 2 psychopaths. They are just bored, so they come to the morning market to scam money. As soon as the rubber stick came out, Xiao Chen understood that these 2 men were punks. He didn't know where they found 2 security uniforms and wore them to scam people. These tricks could bully those new and ignorant stalls and hawkers, but they didn't work on Xiao Chen at all. "Motherf **, you're tired of living, aren't you? How dare you challenge me? I think you're asking for a beating. Let's see if you're honest or not." Seeing that Xiao Chen wasn't intimidated, the other tall and burly man immediately glared at him. He grabbed Xiao Chen's collar and swung his fist, which was the size of an earthenware bowl, towards his face. Crack! The sound of bones breaking was accompanied by a scream. The thin man with squinting eyes said proudly, "You're so cocky. Now you know fear." Huh? He stared dumbfoundedly at Xiao Chen, only to see that Xiao Chen was standing unscathed, while the tall man was hugging his arm and screaming miserably. His entire fist had already been deformed. Ow ow ow. The tall man squatted on the ground in pain, sweating non-stop. The thin man with squinting eyes was stunned. He didn't see what happened just now. Wasn't Xiao Chen the one who was beaten? Why was it the other way around? After a while, the thin man with squinting eyes reacted. He pointed at Xiao Chen and scolded, "You dare to provoke us? Don't leave if you have guts. Just you wait." The thin man with squinting eyes said ruthlessly. He helped the tall man up and prepared to leave. "Stop." Before he could take a few steps, Xiao Chen directly rushed over and grabbed the neck of the thin man with squinting eyes. He grabbed the collar of the tall man and dragged both of them back. Cough. "You. What else do you want?" The thin man with squinting eyes was choked until his face turned red. He couldn't breathe. Xiaofan pointed to the gap on the table and said slowly, "You broke my things and you want to slip away? Stop pretending to be a dead dog. Hurry up and pay up." The thin man with squinting eyes was suddenly dumbfounded. He stuttered to explain, "This. I didn't break it. I'm using a rubber stick. How could I break a wooden table? You're blackmailing me." He was regretting it. He didn't expect the youtiao seller to be a martial artist. Not only was he more arrogant than him, but his strength was also not small. He couldn't break free even if he wanted to. It was really a case of trying to hit a goose but getting pecked in the eye by the goose. "Don't say those useless things. Anyway, I saw you break it, and then the case collapsed." "What? Do you still want to deny it? Why don't we go to the corner and talk about it?" Xiaofan used his strength and increased the strength of his fingers. The thin man with squinting eyes rolled his eyes. Cough. I'll pay up. Hero, spare my life." The thin man with squinting eyes' face had turned purple. He struggled to breathe heavily. At least you know what's good for you." Xiaofan let go of his fingers and said lightly, "Since you sincerely want compensation, I won't ask for more from you. How about this? The cost of the case is 1,000 yuan, plus another 1,000 yuan for lost work. You just have to pay me 3,000 yuan. This isn't 2,000 yuan added up? How?" The thin man with squinting eyes was suddenly stunned. This guy has a brute force, but why does his math seem to be bad? He was about to bargain. When he looked up, he suddenly saw Xiaofan's smiling face. It seemed like he was waiting for him to continue. He suddenly shivered and said wittily, "Hero, don't be angry. It really is 3,000 yuan. I'll pay up." He trembled as he took out his wallet from his pocket. The thin man with squinting eyes looked at it and found that there was only 1,000 yuan in it. He had no choice but to take out the tall man's wallet and take out all the money. He didn't bother to count it and handed it all to Xiaofan. Chapter 868. That's more like it. Xiaofan took the money and counted it. He realized that he still lacked 500 yen, but it seems that the two of them really didn't have any money on them. Thus, he waved his hand in annoyance. "Tomorrow, we'll do the same time. Bring the remaining 500 yen over, and we'll call it even." "Alright, get lost." The squint-eyed skinny man clenched his teeth and didn't dare to say anything else. He supported the tall man and limped away from the morning market street. Before he left, he glared at Xiaofan fiercely, as if he wanted to memorize his appearance. "Xiaofan, aren't you too violent? They're obviously not good people. Aren't we keeping a low profile now? What if they come looking for trouble every few days?" Cheng Menjing was a little worried as she reprimanded with her brows knitted. It's only the first day of their business, and they've already attracted such trouble. If they come to disturb them every few days, then would they still be able to open their business? It's fine. These people need to be disciplined. If they dare to come again, I'll beat them up. Xiaofan casually replied, "It's not a loss to keep a low profile. If you give them money, then it'll be troublesome if someone comes tomorrow. Look at how I beat up Lu Zhenming and kicked Chao Yuliang when I set up my stall in the past. Who would dare to come again? Lad, you're in big trouble now. It's better for you to hide for a few days. They will definitely not let this matter go." A stall owner couldn't stand it anymore and reminded, "Uncle, there's no one charging fees in the morning market. At most, there's some hoodlums. So where did those two come from? Could they be pretending to be managers? I remember that there weren't any security guards in the morning market in the past." Xiaofan asked in puzzlement. He had been setting up his stall in the morning market for so long, but he had never seen any security guards patrolling. Could it be that they're new? It seems that you haven't been here for a long time, right? The stall owner sighed and helplessly said, those two hooligans just now looked like security guards on the surface, but they're actually gangsters who used all kinds of excuses to collect fees from the stall owners in the morning market. Xiao Chen's face darkened. The stall owner shook his head and continued, if anyone doesn't pay, hooligans will immediately come looking for trouble. They will either smash the stall or drive away the customers. Everyone will choose to pay in order to make a living. Xiao Chen, how about, we stay at home for 2 days? Anyway, I've earned enough today to live on for a while, so there's no need to clash with those people. I'm counting on this stall to make money in the future. Cheng Menjing's face was a little pale as she hesitated. After listening to the stall owner, she could not help but feel a little afraid. She was not afraid of those hooligans, but now that she and Xiao Chen were being chased by the Kuei Mountain sect, it would be troublesome if their identities were exposed. Missy, you're too timid. They're just hooligans, and you're a first-layer devil master cultivator. You can easily swat them away like flies with a casual wave of your hand. What's there to be afraid of? Xiao Chen was very unconcerned. He placed the equipment back on the tricycle and prepared to pack up and go home. Tisk, you're talking nonsense. I'm not afraid of them. Cheng Menjing puffed out her chest indignantly. Suddenly thinking of something, she stretched out her hand and said, that's right, hurry up and give me the compensation money that you just stole, from someone. Don't even think about hiding a secret stash of money on you. Who knows if you'll use it to pick up girls, humph. Sure, take it. Xiao Chen readily took out the money. Anyway, apart from selling breakfast together, the two of them also lived together, so it did not make much of a difference who was in charge of the accounts. Cheng Menjing carefully hid the money in her breast pocket and felt it. After confirming that it was safe, she was finally satisfied. Xiao Chen's eyes also subconsciously glanced at Missy's slightly bulging chest. He coughed twice and patted the back seat of the tricycle. Come on, we'll leave the things at the grocery store as soon as possible. Then, we'll go to the business office and apply for a broadband. Once the Wi-Fi is installed, you won't be so bored anymore. Unexpectedly, not only did Cheng Menjing not get on the tricycle, but she also shook her head like a rattle drum. No, when I came over this morning, I sat so much, my butt hurts. You better come down and let me ride. You go to the back and help push the tricycle. You want to ride me? I didn't expect you to be so. Xiao Chen smiled with a very strange expression. When he was about to continue, he found that Cheng Menjing was staring at him with a murderous look. He had to shut his mouth, get off the tricycle obediently, and walk to the back. Cheng Menjing got on the tricycle and rode crookedly all the way, followed by Xiao Chen and Invincible Dog. From time to time, there were dangerous situations. It took a lot of effort to ride to the grocery store. She was so tired that she was sweating all over. After jumping off the tricycle, Cheng Menjing was greatly relieved. From the bottom of her heart, she felt that sitting in a car was more comfortable. Riding a bicycle was simply too torturous. Missy couldn't remember why she chose to ride a bicycle, which was a hard labor. Xiao Chen had been helping Cheng Menjing control the tricycle. Although he was not so tired, he was also sweating all over. After giving the rest of the dough to the old lady, Xiao Chen chatted with her for a while, and then took Cheng Menjing back to their residence. Originally, he wanted to go directly to the business office to apply for broadband, but considering that both of them were sweaty and sticky, it was really uncomfortable. He decided to go back and take a shower first. Xiao Chen, what do you think we should do in the future? We can't always sell fried dough sticks in the morning market, right? On the way home, Cheng Menjing felt a little confused and murmured. No way. It's only the first day, and you can't hold on anymore? Why don't you stay at home tomorrow? I can handle it by myself. Xiao Chen shrugged. He was quite used to this kind of life. Didn't he live like this before? He even planned to open a breakfast chain in the future. I didn't mean that. I mean, we can't always hide like this, right? Every day, we are always on tenterhooks, always afraid of being recognized by the Qian sect. When I was selling breakfast just now, I also looked around. I feel like I'm going crazy. Cheng Menjing pouted and complained. I didn't think so much. I just hope that Ma Peizhe won't do something desperate and cause trouble for the Xiao family and the Cheng family. Otherwise, I can only bite the bullet and fight him. Xiao Chen shook his head, feeling very helpless. Sigh. Cheng Menjing sighed and didn't know what to say for a moment. This matter was like a dead end. No matter who made the first move, it would cause unpredictable consequences. Just as Miss and Xiao Chen were having a headache, Ma Peizhe was also very annoyed and scratching his head. He knew that if he went to cause trouble for the Xiao family or the Cheng family, he could immediately lure Xiao Chen out, but he didn't dare to do so. Although the pain of losing his son made Ma Peizhe hate Xiao Chen to the bone, he was not a fool. Previously, he exposed his strength to chase after Xiao Chen, which was already considered very impressive. At this time, people in and out of the martial arts world were probably discussing countermeasures and thinking of ways to deal with him. Therefore, after Ma Peizhe woke up, he had been very cautious. No matter what he did, he was careful and kept a low profile. He was afraid that other sects would use him as a target and take the opportunity to impeach him. Although he could escape with his strength, he would definitely implicate the Qian sect and even Awakening Heaven sect. If things really got out of hand, no one could protect him at that time. Even if he hid at the ends of the earth, he would be easily found by people in and out of the martial arts world. Then, what awaited him was only death. At this time, Ma Peizhe was sitting in the villa by the Lidhua River, smoking gloomily. He had received news from his disciples saying that he had found out that Xiao Chen and Cheng Menjing had fled back to the villa in Songning City, so he rushed over as soon as possible. In the end, when he arrived, it was empty. There was no one in the villa. The clues were cut off here, and Ma Wuxian had a headache again. Although he did not attend the meeting at Awakening Heaven sect, Situ Qitian had called him after the meeting. Although he was furious and scolded him, he was not in a hurry to summon him back. Instead, he warned him to keep a low profile outside. Ma Peizhe couldn't figure out Situ Qitian's intentions, but he knew the leader's character too well. Situ Qitian was a narrow-minded person who couldn't tolerate the failure of his subordinates, but he was willing to indulge Ma Peizhe to stay a few more days, so Ma Peizhe was a little puzzled and couldn't understand. But in any case, Ma Peizhe knew that he definitely couldn't stay in the secular world for long, so he had to get rid of Xiao Chen as soon as possible and then take the initiative to return to Awakening Heaven sect to admit his guilt. Ma Peizhe pinched the cigarette butt and stomped his feet. After looking around, he was ready to leave the villa. But as soon as he walked out of the door, he saw an old woman pushing a garbage truck outside the door. That pair of narrowed eyes kept staring at him, and there seemed to be a sense of mockery in her eyes. "Old fart, why don't you look at your mother? Believe it or not, I will dig out your eyeballs and feed them to the dogs." Ma Peizhe was a little upset, and at this time, he directly flew into a rage, pointing at the old woman and scolding. This old thing had been here since he entered the door just now. As a result, he came out, and this guy was still here. He even looked at him with that kind of eyes. He didn't know what it meant. "You." The old woman suddenly flew into a rage and was about to explode on the spot, but she quickly calmed down, seeming to have some scruples about Ma Peizhe. She rolled her eyes and said indifferently, "Hee, you mean, you're a woman? F***ck. Are you F***king courting death?" Ma Peizhe was so angry that he directly raised his hand. This old thing, he could slap her to death with one slap. But his hand didn't fall for a long time. Ma Peizhe thought about it carefully. If he slapped an ordinary person to death and the other sects used it as an excuse to cause trouble, it was really not worth it. Forget it. Left with no other choice, Ma Baozhi pretended that nothing had happened and turned around to leave. While walking, he took out his mobile phone and called the disciples of his sect, cursing them in a bitter voice, "You bunch of useless fools. Hurry up and hurry up. Go and find him. If you can't find him, all of you get out of here." Chapter 869. The old woman who was pushing the garbage truck had an almost imperceptible smile on her face. She shook her head slightly as she looked at Ma Baozhi's silhouette. "With your level of skill, you still want to look for someone? Go find a ghost. How did you think of asking those disciples who don't even know Xiaochen to look for Xiaochen? Where do you expect them to find him? Even if you send people to turn the entire Songning city upside down, you probably won't be able to find a trace of Xiaochen." Thinking of this, the old woman was too lazy to care about Ma Baozhi's whereabouts. Instead, she took out a mobile phone from her pocket and dialed a number in her address book. "Mr. Xing, long time no see. Do you have any instructions for me? Please feel free to speak. I will serve you wholeheartedly." On the other end of the phone, a middle-aged man with a strange accent asked respectfully. It turned out that this old woman was Miss Xing in disguise. She originally thought that as long as she followed Ma Baozhi, she would be able to find Xiaochen smoothly. Who would have thought that after a few days, Ma Baozhi was still like a headless fly, running around aimlessly. He couldn't find Xiaochen's whereabouts at all, not even a single clue. "Yorishima Kikuo, immediately send me a copy of Xiaochen's information. Remember, I don't want official information from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. You should know what to do, right?" Miss Xing's voice returned to normal. She was no longer old, but ordered coldly. Her tone had regained its usual arrogance. "Okay, no problem. I will ask Ling Qianxue to send the information to you. May I know your location?" Yorishima Kikuo agreed immediately. This order was not difficult for him at all. After all, he was from the secular world and had done a thorough investigation on Xiaochen. So, Yorishima Kikuo already had all the information on Xiaochen in the secular world. He could take it out at any time. "I am at Songning City's Qianhua Waterfront Villa District, Block XX. Ask her to find me directly. That's all." Miss Xing said simply, hung up the phone, threw away the garbage truck, and hid in Xiaochen's villa. She removed the disguise of an old woman, but still dressed as a man. She sat on the sofa and waited. Not long after, Ling Qianxue drove the car to the villa. After seeing young Master Xing, she handed over the information to him and was in no hurry to leave. She quietly stood at the side, waiting for new instructions. Yukio Yashima had already instructed her to cooperate with young noble Xing as long as he needed it. Little girl Xing opened the document and read it carefully. The information was very detailed. It started from the time Xiaochen was kicked out of the Xiao family and became an abandoned good-for-nothing, all the way until he became the deputy director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. There was all the information about the secular world, but there was no information about the martial arts world. Perhaps it was also because Yorishima Kikuo's ability was limited, and he could not get involved in too many sects in the outer martial arts world. He did not know much about what happened inside, so there was no record of this. Little girl Xing analyzed as she read, mainly focusing on the records of the period when Xiaochen was down and out. She repeatedly studied it several times, and finally locked her eyes on the section where he and Tang Tang went to the morning market to sell fried dough sticks. He, a dignified demon sect master of the outer martial arts world, actually sold fried dough sticks in the secular world. How unexpected. Little girl Xing tapped on the information page with her finger, and her tone was full of disdain. Little girl Xing made a conclusion in her heart, then looked up and asked, "Ling Qianxue, do you know where the morning market is?" "I have looked into it. It's not too far from the villa, about 15 minutes by car." Ling Qianxue nodded and replied. "Okay, let's go. You drive me there now." Little girl Xing put away the information, stood up, and left the villa, directly sitting in the car outside the door. Ling Qianxue did not have any objection. Before she came, Yorishima Kikuo had already told her to listen to little girl Xing's instructions, so she followed him out without a word. After sitting in the driver's seat, she started the engine and drove directly in the direction of the morning market street. When they arrived at the morning market street, it was already noon. Many vendors had already closed their stalls and gone home, and the remaining stall owners were also packing up their things. There were a lot less pedestrians on the street, and the entire morning market street was empty. Since she was afraid of exposing her identity, little girl Xing did not get out of the car immediately. Instead, she asked Ling Qianxue to drive the car directly into the morning market street, and parked it near Xiao Chen's stall. From the car, she stared out. Huh? Didn't the information say that Xiao Chen sold fried dough sticks? Why is that stall selling fried dough sticks? Could it be that the information is wrong? Little girl Xing sat in the front passenger seat, looking at the sign of Lin's fried dough sticks in confusion. Then she took out the information and flipped through it. Strange, the location was indeed recorded here. What little girl Xing did not know was that Yorishima Kikuo did not care about the fact that Tang Tang had given the stall to the Lins. Even if he knew, he would not record such a trivial matter. He probably could not even remember the information. I'm not too sure about this. How about I go and ask them? Ling Qianxue was also confused. After thinking for a while, she asked for little girl Xing's opinion. Seeing that little girl Xing did not agree or disagree, she took the initiative to get out of the car and walked to the Lin stall. Since it was the weekend, the Lin stall closed a little later than usual. At this time, it was almost time to clean up. Lin Kur was helping to tidy up the bowls and chopsticks when she saw a girl walking towards her family's stall. She hurriedly walked up to her apologetically and said, "I'm sorry, we have already closed up. If you want to eat beef plate noodles, you can come back tomorrow morning." Stupid girl. What nonsense are you talking about? Mother Lin, who was standing on the side, glared at Lin. How could she let go of a business opportunity? Mother Lin pulled Lin over and greeted her enthusiastically, "Little girl, please sit for a while. I'll cook a bowl of fried dough sticks for you right away. It'll be quick." "Oh, sorry to trouble you." Since Ling Qianxue was here to ask for information, she did not refuse. She found a place to sit down and waited for a while. Then she pretended to ask casually, "Auntie, I remember that there used to be a stall selling fried dough sticks here. It should have been opened by a man and a woman. Why are they changing now? Did they move away?" "Yes. They moved away a few months ago. Since my daughter is their classmate and they have a good relationship, they let us have the stall." Mother Lin did not care. She skillfully cooked the dough sticks and answered casually. Ling Qianxue suddenly realized. Wasn't this Lin's fried dough sticks opened by Lin's family? Although there was no information about this stall in Xiao Chen's information, it was mentioned that Xiao Chen used to pursue Lin when he was in school. Also, when he sold fried dough sticks in the morning market, he would help the Lin family's business from time to time. "Auntie, I'm sorry. I suddenly don't want to eat the noodles. I'll leave the money here. Keep the change." After Ling Qianxue understood the ins and outs of the matter, she couldn't wait to stand up. She put the money on the table and turned to walk in the direction of her car. Anyway, her real purpose was not to eat the noodles. Since she had already found the information she wanted, there was no need to stay any longer. "Hey! What's wrong with you? I can pack it for you." Mother Lin had just served the noodles and was stunned when she heard Ling Qianxue's words. When she came back to her senses, there was no trace of Ling Qianxue. Looking at the brand new red banknote on the table, Mother Lin immediately panicked. She quickly said to Lin, "Why are you still standing there like a fool? You just watched her leave and didn't know how to stop her. Hurry up and see if that banknote is fake." Oh. Kerlin blinked her eyes and obediently picked up the banknote on the table. She carefully looked at it a few times and then said, "This money is real. There's no problem." "Are you serious?" "Let me see." Mother Lin didn't quite believe it. She wiped her hands on her apron and took the banknote and looked at it for a long time under the sun. Only then did she confirm that it was real. She let out a sigh of relief and said, "It's good that it's real. Since that little girl doesn't want to eat, then let's keep this bowl of noodles for lunch." As she spoke, Mother Lin quickly put away the money. She had earned 100 yuan today, which made her very happy. Kerlin didn't answer, but looked in the direction where Ling Qianxue disappeared. She didn't care too much about whether the banknote was real or fake. Instead, she was wondering why such a beautiful girl would come to inquire about Xiao Chen and Tang Tang's stall. Could it be? Could it be that there was some conflict between them? Or was she an ex-girlfriend who was dumped by Xiao Chen and came to take revenge? She didn't realize that every time she encountered something about Xiao Chen, her imagination would run wild. Ling Qianxue returned to the car and briefly reported the situation to Miss Xing. Miss Xing didn't give up on this clue after hearing it. Instead, she lowered her head and thought, since Xiao Chen had given the stall to Kerlin's family, then the stall where the Lin family used to be should be empty. So, could it be? Thinking of this, Miss Xing immediately flipped through the information and found the address of the Lin family's stall. She immediately asked Ling Qianxue to start the car and drive to the Lin family's stall. As expected, before the car stopped, the sharp-eyed Miss Xing found a small piece of youtiao on the ground not far away. It seemed to be leftovers and probably hadn't been cleaned by the cleaners yet. Seeing this scene, Miss Xing immediately knew what was going on. But to be safe, she still got out of the car and asked a lot of nearby stalls and customers. There was indeed a man and a woman who had opened a new youtiao stall here, and it had just opened not long ago. After Miss Xing got the accurate answer, she immediately came up with a plan. After discussing it with Ling Qianxue, the two of them began to implement it separately and went about their own business. A few days later, the reputation of Tang's breakfast shop grew in the morning market street. Every day, there would be a long line. The crowd spread the news by word of mouth, and it soon reached the ears of Kerlin. Chapter 870. After hearing that, Kerlin was very curious. She wondered if Xiao Chen and Tang Tang came back to sell breakfast again. So, she found a little free time and rushed over excitedly. When she arrived at the place, Kerlin took a closer look and found that although the stall was also selling fried dough sticks and fried cakes, the man and the woman were very strange. She didn't know them at all. Disappointed, Kerlin was about to leave. Suddenly, the corner of her eyes caught the equipment of the stall. It seemed a little familiar. Why did it look like it was used by Xiao Chen before? Excuse me, is your Tang's breakfast shop newly opened? I don't think I've seen it before. Kerlin hesitated for a moment, but still plucked up her courage and went forward to ask. Yes. We just opened a few days ago. Xiao Chen answered casually. Suddenly, he felt that the voice was a little familiar. He looked up subconsciously and was stunned. Kerlin? Why is she here? For Kerlin, this simple and kind little girl, Xiao Chen's heart had always been very complicated. He didn't know how to position himself. It was true that he liked her a little, but it was estimated that there would be no development between them. After all, there was no more intersection in life. Xiao Chen could only help her family as much as possible. Oh. My house used to be at the place where you are now, so. I'm sorry, I just found your equipment a little familiar, so I wanted to ask if these things were given to you by Xiao Chen? You. Do you know where he and Sister Tang Tang are? Kerlin didn't know that Xiao Chen had recognized her. She hesitated for a long time and asked cautiously. Oh, they seem to have left Songning City after they transferred the stall to me. I'm not too sure where exactly they went. Why don't you call them and ask? Xiao Qin could only find a perfunctory excuse to brush her off. He couldn't protect himself now, so it was better not to let Kerlin know the truth. He didn't know what had happened when this little girl suddenly came to find him. Could it be that her family's shop was threatened by hooligans again? I called them, but their phones were turned off. I couldn't get in touch with them. Kerlin shook her head in disappointment. Although she didn't have a cell phone, she always remembered Xiao Chen and Tang Tang's phone numbers. She had already tried to contact him a few times, but his phone was always turned off. No matter how hard she tried, she couldn't get through. In fact, Kerlin's main purpose was to find Xiao Chen. It wasn't because she had encountered any trouble, but because he had often helped the Lin family in the past. Although he looked scary, he was still a good person. She had finally saved some money and wanted to treat Xiao Chen to a meal to thank him in person, but she couldn't get in touch with him no matter how hard she tried. Xiao Cheng Menjing sold out the stock in front of her in a flash, but she didn't get any fresh fried dough sticks for a long time. She was still wondering why there was no movement from Xiao Chen. When she turned her head, she found that he was actually chatting with Kerlin. She almost died of anger. Due to inertia, Cheng Menjing subconsciously called out Xiao Chen's name. Fortunately, she found something wrong halfway, so she immediately stopped and changed her words. Xiao Kid, what are you doing? Hurry up and get to work. Are you stupid when you see a young girl? Don't talk nonsense there. Don't you see so many people waiting in line? Are you making them anxious? Maybe it was still not enough. Cheng Menjing asked Kerlin, little girl, are you going to buy breakfast? If you are, you have to line up according to the rules. No. I'm not buying breakfast. Sorry. Sorry to bother you. You guys go ahead. Kerlin was shocked and quickly waved her hand. She took a few steps back and turned to walk to her stall. But before she walked 2 steps, she seemed to think of something. Kerlin suddenly turned her head and looked at Cheng Menjing a few times in confusion. She felt that her voice was a bit familiar, as if she had heard it somewhere, but her face was very strange. Did I hear it wrong? After thinking about it, Kerlin still shook her head and left. There were too many people in the world with similar voices. She didn't know the one in front of her at all. She must have heard it wrong. I say, eldest miss, Lin Kuer was just curious and came over to ask. Why are you so fierce to her? Don't tell me you're jealous. Xiao Chen teased as he continued to fry the youtiao in his hands. When he was with Tang Tang and Shen Jingxian, the miss didn't seem to be so resistant. Only when she was facing Kerlin, she always looked at her with hostility. He didn't know what was going on. Humph. Who has the time to care about your romantic debts? Cheng Menjing rolled her eyes and snappily said, You brat, you've never been able to keep your mouth shut, especially after seeing Lin Kuer. It's as if you've lost your soul. Did I? Xiao Chen scratched his head. He didn't seem to have much of a reaction, did he? Of course you did. Cheng Menjing glared at him hatefully and said, What if you accidentally expose your identity and the people from the Kuei Mountain sect find out? Even if Kerlin knows, it won't be a big deal, right? And it seems that you almost blurted out my name just now. How can you blame it on me? Xiao Chen muttered helplessly. I saw that you were just chatting and not doing business, so I blurted it out in a hurry. Now you're blaming me. Cheng Menjing quibbled, then frowned and said, But we really should be careful, or else we'll accidentally spill it. How about, we give ourselves a fake name? From now on, when we set up our stall, we'll call each other by their fake names. Okay, what name do you want? Xiao Chen didn't mind and asked casually. Let me think. Oh right. I'll call you Lil Di, and you call me Yao Yao. Okay. It's decided. Cheng Menjing thought for a while and gave the answer, nodding heavily with a satisfied expression. What Lil Yi and Yao Yao, where did you find such weird names? It doesn't sound good at all. Xiaofan smiled bitterly, but he didn't strongly object. It was just a code name anyway. If the miss liked to call them that, then let her be. It's the main characters in School Bells Adjunct, Lin Yi and Chu Mengyao. It's a popular drama on IQIY recently, haven't you seen it? You're simply too old-fashioned. Hurry up and tutor yourself, or else we won't have anything in common. Cheng Menjing glanced at Xiaofan with disgust and reprimanded him. Okay, I'll go check it out when I have time. Xiaofan replied casually, but he was pondering in his heart. Why did those two hooligans wearing security uniforms disappear without a trace in the past few days? Logically speaking, according to their attitude last time, they should immediately bring people to find trouble. He was still waiting for them to send money, he was so poor recently. A few days ago, Xiaofan installed broadband and Wi-Fi in his house, and bought necessary appliances such as a washing machine and a refrigerator. The 2,000 yuan had long been spent. Now, although the income from selling breakfast every day was 1 to 200 yuan, it was only enough to maintain the living expenses of the two people. They didn't have much money on hand at all. However, what Xiaofan didn't know was that the two punks actually came to the morning market every day, extorting money everywhere, but every time they avoided his stall and went to find trouble with other people. The two of them didn't dare to take the initiative to provoke Xiaofan. Anyway, there wasn't much in the morning market, but there were a lot of stalls, and it was enough even if the two of them casually collected money. Motherf *, we were too unlucky that day. Not only did we not receive a single cent, but we also lost a few thousand for no reason. These days, no matter how much money we collect, we can't make up for it. It's a big loss, it's like losing a wife and a soldier. The tall man had a cast and bandage on his right hand, and he was cursing as he wandered on the morning market, followed by the squint-eyed skinny guy. Just bear with it for now. Yesterday, I reported to my big brother. He is now in Lon City, working for some Japanese merchant. He already knows about this situation, and he said that he will bring a few experts back in a few days to stand up for us. When that time comes, we can hold our heads high. The squint-eyed skinny guy said in a muffled voice as he looked at the surrounding stalls threateningly. The squint-eyed skinny guy was also very depressed, but the other party's strength was there for all to see. No matter how arrogant he was, there was nothing he could do if he couldn't beat him. Quick, look, that stall seems to be newly opened, it looks quite unfamiliar. The tall man suddenly pointed at a stall not far away, and shouted in joy. The squint-eyed skinny guy looked over, and sure enough, he saw a young couple with a stall, running a business selling pancakes and meat buns. However, the couple didn't seem to be interested in the business in front of them, and they didn't seem to be greeting customers. Instead, they kept whispering to each other, as if they were discussing something, and from time to time, they would look at another stall. Oh ho, that girl looks quite good. The squint-eyed skinny guy's eyes lit up, and he subconsciously licked his lips. With an evil smile, he said, let's go take a look. Even if we can't get any benefits, if we can trick that girl into our bed, and make this old man happy, it's worth it. Hee hee. The two's eyes emitted green light, and they swaggered to the stall. The tall man kicked the leg of the table, and angrily shouted, Hey! Are you new here? Have you paid protection fees for this stall? Have you applied for a stall permit? What protection fees, permit? Little Xing, who was disguised as a man, frowned, and looked at the two people in front of her. They didn't seem to have come with good intentions, so she didn't hold back and said, I don't know what you're talking about, I've never heard of a permit. If you don't want to die, then scram. It turned out that Little Xing and Ling Qianxue had just bought a stall at the morning market a few days ago, and the location was diagonally opposite Xiaofan's stall, so that it would be easier to monitor. Little Xing even purposely put on makeup for Ling Qianxue, to ensure that she wouldn't be recognized by Xiaofan. However, although the two were very strong, when it came to doing morning work, they were instantly dumbfounded, they didn't know how to do it. Left with no other choice, Xing could only find the previous stall owner and hire him to work for them. Chapter 871. After the stall owner received the invitation, he felt a little baffled. He used to earn more than $3,000 selling breakfast. Now, these two people bought his stall and still wanted him to make breakfast. They even gave him a salary of $3,000 a month. Wasn't this the same as setting up his own stall? Sure enough, people were stupid with money. However, the stall owner was also very smart. He didn't complain at all. Although those two people were a bit stupid, this was a great thing for him. He originally set up a stall with his wife to sell breakfast. Now that he could do it alone, his wife was free. This way, he could do other work and earn more money. Why not? Little girl Xing didn't care about these things. Originally, she was a little uncertain. Although that stall was indeed selling fried dough sticks, she didn't recognize the appearance of the young couple. What if they weren't Xiaofan? However, when she saw Ke Lin looking for them this morning, she was finally sure. Just now, she was whispering to Ling Qianxue, analyzing whether or not Lin Ke had recognized Xiaofan after she went over. In the end, two people rashly bumped into her, asking her for some protection fee the moment they opened their mouths. Motherf Ke, I didn't know you were a dog. You're as thin as a wire pole, but your temper is quite fierce. The squinted skinny guy was scolded and instantly became furious. He glared at little girl Xing and shouted, "Less nonsense, hurry up. Take out $5,000 and I'll consider whether or not I should let this matter go. Otherwise, don't even think about staying here." You. Little girl Xing was a cultivation genius since she was young. When had she ever heard such filthy words? She was so angry that her vision turned black. However, when she looked at Xiaofan's stall, she forcefully endured it. She couldn't act rashly. If Xiaofan saw through her, then it would be troublesome. Ling Qianxue was scolded for no reason. She also had a face full of displeasure. However, she still forcefully suppressed the anger in her heart. She pointed at Xiaofan's stall and asked, "Their stall just opened, why don't you guys go and collect money from them? Why are you looking for us? You're really crazy." "I'm willing. I see that you guys are easy to bully, so I purposely looked for you." "What about it?" The squinted skinny guy's nose was in the air. Seeing that the couple didn't dare to say anything, he was sure that they were afraid of trouble. He put on a fake smile and said, "How about this, little girl, you play with us for a few days. As long as you make us happy, then we'll write off the protection money." Ling Qianxue was stunned. She had never seen such a shameless person. Her heart was burning with anger, but for a moment, her hands and feet couldn't react. She just stood there stupidly. Seeing that Ling Qianxue didn't have any reaction, the squinted skinny man was relieved. He reached out his hand, wanting to take advantage of Ling Qianxue. He even flirted, "That's more like it. Pa. Ling Ling, Ling. You is, you. Ling, you are. Ling." Before the squinted skinny guy's hand could touch Ling Qianxue's chest, it was slapped away by Ling Qianxue. However, he didn't suffer any injuries. "Stinking brat, the two of us are courting your wife. That's because we think highly of you. Don't be so shameless." The tall man glared at him and shouted. Ling Qianxue didn't pay attention to him. She pushed him lightly because she was afraid that she would be too heavy-handed and kill him. After thinking for a while, she ordered Ling Qianxue, "Go teach these two a lesson. But don't be too harsh. Don't kill them. Just beat them until they are half dead." Normally, Ling Qianxue would be afraid of alarming Xiaofan and definitely wouldn't say this. However, she saw that there was already a large group of customers waiting to buy breakfast in front of Xiaofan's stall. It was so packed that not even a drop of water could trickle through. Presumably, they wouldn't have time to care about the situation here. Thus, they didn't have to worry about anything. Yes. At this time, Ling Qianxue had already come back to her senses. She had a belly full of anger. Since Ling Qianxue had already spoken, she didn't hesitate. She directly pulled the two people to a corner and raised her hand to violently beat them up. Ah! Heroine! Spare! Spare us! The squinted skinny guy and the tall man only felt their vision blur. They fell heavily to the ground. Following that, a wave of pain came from their bodies. The storm-like attacks didn't give them a chance to get up. The two people curled up in the corner and continuously begged for mercy. However, their miserable cries were quickly covered by the cries of the surrounding stall owners. Basically, no one heard what happened here. After a few minutes of beating, Ling Qianxue finally felt that she had vented enough. Only then did she stop and return to her stall. However, Ling Qianxue still hadn't vented her anger. She crossed her arms and walked over. Looking down from above, she coldly said, "What? Aren't the two of you quite capable? Why aren't you showing off? Keep jumping. I want to see when you can jump to death. Hero. Hero. Spare us. We were just joking with you. SSS. Please don't take it seriously. Please let us go." The squinted skinny guy's face was green and purple. He couldn't even speak fluently. He could only spit out a few words intermittently. His appearance was as miserable as one could imagine. Yes. Yes, you're a great person and don't hold grudges against us. Don't bother with us, I beg you. The tall man was also in a terrible state. The cast that was originally wrapped around his right hand had long been broken. There wasn't a single piece of uninjured flesh on his body. When he spoke, his mouth was leaking air. "You want me to let you go?" "Sure. Don't you like to extort people? Then I'll let you have a taste of being extorted." Ling Qianxue rolled up her sleeves and put her hands on her waist like a teapot. She then glared at them and said, "Hurry up and hand over $5,000 of protection fee. Maybe this young master's mood is good, and I'll spare your dog lives. Hurry up, don't waste time." When Xing Qianxue was spying on them these past few days, she often saw Cheng Menjing adopt this posture to teach Xiao Chen a lesson. It seemed to be very imposing, so under her curiosity, she subconsciously imitated it. After trying it out, she really felt that it was very much like a rich young miss. Ling Qianxue, on the other hand, looked at young Master Xing with a strange expression. This guy. Why does he look like a woman? However, she only dared to mutter in her heart. She didn't dare to say it out loud. She only secretly thought, could it be that all the people in the martial arts world have some kind of weird fetish? Okay. I'll pay, I'll give it all to you. The squinted skinny man couldn't be bothered to look at Miss Xing's posture and didn't dare to retort. He hurriedly trembled as he took out the $6,000 he had just received in protection fees and handed it all to Miss Xing. The tall man was trembling at the side. His heart was suffering unspeakably. What's going on with this morning street recently? Where did all these people with high martial arts skills suddenly come from? Even a woman can be so good at fighting. It's really strange. Okay, the amount is correct. I'll let you go this time. Hurry up and roll into a ball before I change my mind. Xing Qianxue weighed the money in her hand. She was too lazy to carefully count it. She directly put it in her pocket and continued her work of spying on them. Seeing that Xing Qianxue had let them go, the squinted skinny guy and the tall man finally let out a sigh of relief. The two endured the pain and stood up. After supporting each other and leaving, the stall owner who worked for Xing Qianxue slowly and carefully walked back. Just now, he had seen the two hooligans coming over from afar. As someone who had set up a stall here for a long time, he knew very well how powerful these two people were. He was afraid of being implicated, so he immediately found an excuse to go to the toilet. After walking away, he hid in the distance and quietly watched. The previous scene was all seen by him. The stall owner couldn't help but secretly click his tongue. I was wondering why they weren't afraid at all. So it turns out that they relied on this to make money. At first, I thought that this couple was stupid. Now it seems that they were just hiding their strength. At this time, at the stall not far away, although Xiao Chen's subordinates were busy, he had already noticed the movement here. Just now when Ling Qianxue made her move, she unconsciously released a bit of a martial artist's aura. Xiao Chen acutely felt that the opposite corner of the wall was a bit strange, so he quietly released his divine sense to check, and immediately discovered an old acquaintance. Xiao Chen didn't know the others, but Xiao Chen was very familiar with the appearance of the ladyboy prince. Although this guy had makeup on, Xiao Chen immediately recognized him from his ladyboy demeanor. As for the other girl, she was probably her follower. Her strength was also at the martial master level. Looking at the situation, she had set up a stall over there. The two reckless hooligans provoked her and were currently being beaten up. However, although Xiao Chen had discovered the two of them, he didn't immediately expose them. Although he didn't know what Xing Chick was planning, as long as they didn't bother him, Xiao Chen was too lazy to pay attention to them for the time being. Because he used the ability of a cultivator to make breakfast, it didn't take long for Xiao Chen to make a lot of fried dough sticks and fried cakes. It was enough for Cheng Menjing to sell for a while. It just so happened that the flow of customers at this time was not large. Xiao Chen simply stopped and continued to release his divine sense. He wanted to check if there were any other suspicious people nearby except for Xing Chick and the others. Since returning to Songning, Xiao Chen had been on tenterhooks every day, fearing that Ma Baixie would suddenly appear. If he was alone, it would be better. The problem was that Miss was still by his side, and her strength was not high. Therefore, Xiao Chen still had to worry about whether she would be ambushed. Moreover, it was not very convenient for the two of them to escape. After probing with his divine sense, Xiao Chen realized that the battle on little Chick Xing's side had already ended. The two hooligans were walking back with their tails between their legs. Meanwhile, little Chick Xing was pretending to sell breakfast as if nothing had happened. Her eyes would occasionally glance over. Xiao Chen touched his chin and pondered for a while. Suddenly, he thought of an idea and couldn't help but chuckle a few times. Chapter 872. After the two hooligans were taught a lesson by Ling Qianxue, they didn't run far. Instead, they turned into a nearby alley and sat on a big rock to rest. The tall man took out some ointment and screamed as he wiped the bruises on his body. "We are really unlucky." While rubbing the wound on his chest with the ointment, the tall man grumbled, "I don't know what's wrong with us. We actually met a martial artist twice. I didn't expect that girl, who looked pretty and weak, to be so heavy-handed." Sigh. "Let's not talk about it. Let's think about what to do when we go back." The squint-eyed skinny man sighed heavily. Suddenly, he thought of something and patted his thigh. As a result, he patted the wound and immediately cried out in pain. After a while, the squint-eyed skinny man said in a hissing voice, "I know. This year is my zodiac year. I have always forgotten to wear red underwear. This must be the reason why I am unlucky. Damn, you idiot. That's probably it." The tall man scolded, "Go back and buy a few hundred pairs of red underwear. Wear it from now until next year. I don't want to be unlucky with you." When the squint-eyed skinny man sighed, the tall man wanted to use the ointment to wipe the wound on his back. However, as soon as he stretched out his right hand, he felt a dull pain. So, he had no choice but to say to the squint-eyed skinny man, "Help me apply the ointment. I can't reach it. TSK, I really didn't know that you guys actually have this kind of hobby. Hurry up and tell me, who is the one on top? Who is the one on the bottom?" The squint-eyed skinny man was half naked. While he was applying the ointment on the tall man's back, he suddenly heard a sarcastic voice coming from behind. The two of them were shocked and turned their heads at the same time. They were shocked to find that Xiaofan was standing not far from the entrance of the alley, looking at them with a mocking face. The two of them were so scared that they almost peed their pants. Without even putting on their clothes, they directly jumped off the rock and wanted to escape. Hey hey hey! What the hell are you two doing? Why did you run away when you saw me? What's the matter? You don't want to pay your debts? Do you want to go back on your word? How could Xiaofan let them escape so easily? With a big stride, he arrived behind them and grabbed both of their necks. One on each side, he lifted them up as if they were puppies. When Xiaofan released his divine sense just now, he sensed that these two people were recuperating nearby. Therefore, he told Cheng Menjing that he needed to go to the toilet and quickly rushed over. These two fellows still owed money. Xiaofan had been short of money recently. If he didn't get his debt back from them, he wouldn't be able to continue living. No. No. Hero, you've misunderstood. We saw that you've come, so we wanted to buy you a bottle of water. You must be thirsty, right? The squint-eyed skinny man complained incessantly. He racked his brains to come up with a reason while his eyes rolled around. He was thinking intensely about how he could escape successfully. Oh, I'm not thirsty, don't say those useless things. What's the matter? You two are thinking about escaping, aren't you? Xiaofan saw through the squint-eyed skinny man's thoughts at a glance. He simply threw them to the corner, crossed his arms in front of his chest, and stared at them condescendingly. Anyway, this place was a secluded alley. Generally, no one would pass by. Even if they passed by and saw that he was getting rid of the tyrant, they probably wouldn't interfere. Hiss, the tall man was hit hard, and he felt as if his whole body was falling apart. He suddenly took a deep breath, and his expression was as sad as if his father had died. He lowered his head and said, Hero. We didn't want to escape, but as you can see, we are seriously injured. We want to go to the hospital to see a doctor. Please be merciful and spare us. Lie, continue to lie. Just now, I clearly saw that you two had finished applying the ointment, and your body still smelled like a bruise. Are you trying to scare me? Xiaofan had a displeased look on his face. He lifted his leg and kicked the tall man. It just so happened to touch his wound, causing the guy to roll around in pain. Xiaofan didn't have any sympathy for people who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Usually, they would be very unreasonable to those weak vendors who set up stalls. He guessed that even Lin Kuer's family had been charged protection fees by them. This kick of his was to help the Lin family vent their anger. This, we didn't. The squint-eyed skinny man saw that Xiaofan was so ruthless. He suddenly stuttered. He couldn't argue for a long time, and he didn't dare to say much. Otherwise, he would definitely be kicked again. Oh, I know. After you used the bruise ointment, you felt that it didn't work, so you wanted to go to the hospital for treatment, right? Xiaofan asked with a faint smile. Yes. This thing has no effect at all. It must be a fake sold by a profiteer. It cost me dozens of yuan. The squint-eyed skinny man quickly grabbed this life-saving straw. He threw away the bottle in his hand and said angrily. Oh. But I see that you guys are recovering well. Your waist isn't sore, your legs aren't hurting, and you can even throw the ointment. Xiaofan clenched his fists and cracked his knuckles. A cold smile flashed across the corner of his mouth as he said unhurriedly, how about this? Since you want to go to the hospital, I'll beat you up again, so that you don't have to come here in vain and waste money. No, hero. Don't hit us. We are really fine. Wow, this is really a miracle in the medical world. I think we don't need to go to the hospital anymore. The squint-eyed skinny man quickly endured the pain on his body and struggled to stand up. He gritted his teeth and shook his arm. He even took a few steps and tried to squeeze out a smile that was uglier than crying. That's not right. Don't you see that kid still rolling on the ground? I think you guys still have to go. Don't delay the treatment. Xiaofan pointed to the tall macho man and said calmly. He also took 2 steps forward and pretended to hit him. I've also recovered. This medicine is really magical. It seems that I have to buy a few more bottles in the future. The tall macho man saw that the situation was not good. He quickly turned over and stood up. He sighed with a bitter face. Since you are all fine, then don't do radio gymnastics here. Hurry up and return the money. This hero can fry hundreds of youtiao in a minute. I don't have the time to watch you act here. Xiaofan shook his legs and shouted angrily. He seemed very impatient. But we don't have any money on us now. The squint-eyed skinny man suddenly thought of a bad idea. He quickly said with a troubled face, Just now, we actually had more than 6,000 yuan. We wanted to collect more money and give it to you as a gift. In the end, it was all snatched away by someone else. We wanted to reason with the other party, but not only did we not, we were beaten up. So unlucky. The squint-eyed skinny man had the idea of 2 tigers fighting. Since the guy in front of him was good at martial arts and the chick who beat him looked quite powerful, if he could make the 2 of them fight, wouldn't he be able to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight? Wasn't there a saying that when 2 sides fought, the one who fished would benefit? Maybe he could even get a bargain in the end. Oh? What do you mean? Who beat you up? Is there anyone who has the guts to rob me of my money? Xiaofan pretended to be angry. He saw through the squint-eyed skinny man's plan at a glance, but he did not expose it. Instead, he pretended to fall into the trap. In fact, he had other plans in mind. It's the husband and wife who sold pancakes and meat buns diagonally across from your stall. Not only did they beat us up, but they also asked me for 5,000 yuan. I wanted to give this money to you. So I insisted on not giving it. In the end, I was beaten up again. I had no choice. Sigh. The squint-eyed skinny man pretended to be pitiful and sighed. He secretly observed Xiaofan's expression to see how he would react. Oh my God! Are you stupid? Do you think I don't know how to count? I was a prodigy back then, did you know that? You brought more than 6,000 and gave him 5,000. Minus 5,000 from 6,000, shouldn't you still have more than 1,000? Hurry up and give me the money, don't dawdle. Xiaofan raised his hand and knocked on the squint-eyed skinny man's head. He was in so much pain that he covered his head and cried out in pain. He was seeing stars. Hero. Skinny man didn't lie to you. We wanted to give you 5,000 yuan to settle the matter. We didn't expect that when we took out the money, they would snatch it all away. We had no choice. The tall man probably guessed the squint-eyed skinny man's idea. Plus, this was the truth, so he said helplessly with a sad face. TSK, you 2 are useless. Hurry up and find them. Get the money back for this hero. Otherwise, don't even think about having a good time. Xiaofan stared at the 2 men in front of him as if he was looking at a dead man. Hero, we don't dare. Besides, we can't beat them. Otherwise, the money wouldn't have been snatched away. The squint-eyed skinny man had finally recovered. When he heard that he was going to ask for money again, he was so scared that his legs went soft. Besides, they hoped that Xiaofan would go to ask for money. How did it become them going to ask for it themselves? The squint-eyed skinny man didn't dare to agree no matter what. What are you afraid of? This hero will go with you to get the money. I don't believe that I can't get it back. Xiaofan waved his hand and said boldly. Actually, he did this on purpose. He took advantage of the situation and went with these two punks. Xiaofan actually wanted to see what this chick Xing was up to. Now that there was an opportunity, he obviously couldn't let it go. This. The squint-eyed skinny man and the tall man looked at each other. Both of them saw the fear in each other's eyes. Although their goal was achieved, they were still a little scared when they thought about how they had to follow. The squint-eyed skinny man hesitated for a moment and said carefully, that "Hero, your martial arts are unparalleled. Of course, you aren't afraid of them. But with our bodies, I'm afraid." Without waiting for the squint-eyed skinny man to finish, Xiaofan waved his hand and interrupted him impatiently, "Don't talk nonsense. I'll give you two choices. Either you come with me to get the money or you go to the hospital. Choose." Chapter 873. This. All right. We'll go with the hero. The squinted skinny guy couldn't help but ridicule. You call this a choice? There was only one way to choose. Helpless, he could only grit his teeth and agree. Then, he thought to himself, when the two of you start fighting, we'll quickly run away. The tall guy could only nod his head in agreement. Then, the two of them followed Xiaofan to the stall across the street, thinking about how to escape later. Dear customers, what would you like to eat? Our shop has meat buns, pancakes, porridge, and all kinds of breakfast. They're all hot. You can eat here or take it away. The stall owner saw that the two hooligans had returned with an unfamiliar man behind them. His expression froze and he stuttered a little. However, he remembered that his current boss, the husband and wife next to him, were both very powerful people. Just now, they easily beat someone up. His confidence rose a little and he greeted them. It's none of your business. I'm here to find them. Xiaofan ignored the enthusiastic stall owner and walked directly in front of Miss Xing. With a face like a playboy, he shook his legs and shouted, I heard from my friends that you stole their money, right? Hurry up and hand over the money. I'll pretend that nothing happened. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Since he was here to collect a debt in name, Xiaofan felt that he had to do it properly and justifiably. Therefore, he conveniently used the two hooligans beside him. You. Miss Xing originally thought that Xiaofan had discovered her and was a little nervous. However, after hearing what Xiaofan said, she was furious. She glared at Xiaofan and thought, I'm here to protect you. Who would have thought that you would turn the tables on me and help these two hooligans to deal with me? How preposterous. Hubby, don't be rash. We don't need to bother with scum like him. Ling Qianxue saw that Miss Xing was about to explode and knew that something was wrong. She hurriedly gave her a look and spoke in a low voice to stop her. Pfft. She's your husband? Xiaofan was stunned and almost spat out. When did little Xing get a wife? However, Xiaofan felt that the girl's voice sounded a little familiar. He didn't care that she called him a scumbag. He carefully looked at her and realized that he didn't recognize her at all. Xiaofan thought for a moment, and suddenly a figure flashed in his mind. Wasn't this Ling Qianxue's voice? How did she get together with that chick Xing? Could it be that the two of them were still lesbians? Oh, right. Xiaofan remembered that when Xing Biao came to the research institute to steal information, she had asked for Sakeshima Kishio's help. Presumably, they had some sort of connection. Perhaps it was because of this that the two of them worked together to set up such a nondescript breakfast stall. After understanding the key points, Xiaofan was speechless. He ran to the morning market to sell fried dough sticks, but that was because he was forced by life to make money. However, if these two girls in front of him just wanted to keep an eye on him, they would not hesitate to stand here from dawn to dusk like idiots. That would be too much of a prank. Ling Qianxue's shout caused Xing Biao to calm down. She carefully thought for a moment and realized that she really couldn't argue with Xiaofan. If they fought, her strength would be exposed. What would she do if she was recognized? Thinking of this, Xing Biao felt a little helpless. She could only pretend to be tough and said, "So what if I'm her husband? If you have the ability, go and marry one too. You don't need to worry about that. I may lack other things, but I don't lack a wife." Xiaochen looked at Ling Qianxue and said to Xing Biao like a ruffian, "You sissy, are you trying to change the topic? What, you don't want to pay up?" Hearing Xiao Chen's words, Xing Biao couldn't help but be shocked. Luckily, it wasn't a lady boy. Then her disguise should be able to fool this guy. Although she was a little unwilling, she still gritted her teeth and took out $1,000. Slapping it on the table, she said, "Take it. Tell your friend to be more well-behaved in the future and don't cause trouble for us. Otherwise, I'll beat her to death next time." "Oh, if you like it, then beat her to death." Xiao Chen shrugged indifferently. He picked up the money on the table and counted it. He frowned and said, "That's not right. Why is it so little? Are you messing with me? How am I messing with you? How is this money not right?" Xing Biao finally got angry. She glared at Xiao Chen. "Is this guy not done yet? You damn Xiao Chen. Don't think that just because you helped me once, you can take a mile after being given an inch. If it wasn't for the mission, I would definitely beat you up. Didn't I say it's more than 1,000? There's only 1,000 here. Where's the rest of the money?" Xiao Chen took the money and patted it in his hand. With a face full of disbelief, he said, "I used to be a top student. Don't try to trick me. You. All right, I'll give you another $500. Is that okay?" Xing Biao suppressed her anger and took out another $500. She stared angrily at Xiao Chen. Her chest was heaving up and down. One look and it was obvious that she was furious. Xing Biao really didn't expect Xiao Chen to be so shameless. She thought that those gangsters were already too much. In the end, Xiao Chen was even more unreasonable than them. He was even calculative about $500. If she knew this would happen, she would have taught him a lesson back then. Of course not. "I already saw that there's so much money in your pocket. It must have been given to you by them just now. These two people owed me money first. Even if they want to pay me back, there should be a first-come, first-served basis, right? You have to give me all of that first." Xiao Chen pointed at Xing Biao's pocket and reached out for the money. He didn't expect his fingertips to be so close to Xing Biao that he accidentally touched something soft. You. Xing Biao's face instantly turned red. She shrank back a little. She wanted to scold Xiao Chen for being a pervert, but when the words reached her mouth, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. She quickly swallowed them back down. She could only stare at him fiercely. She wanted to skin him alive. This was already the second time. Was Xiao Chen doing it on purpose? Could it be that his identity had been exposed? Was that why he used such a despicable method to expose her identity? However, this time, Xing Biao wrongly accused Xiao Chen. Her fingers touched because she was so angry that her chest was heaving up and down. And Xiao Chen subconsciously retracted his hand. His fingers secretly rubbed against it. TSK, it felt pretty good. Are you done yet?" Seeing Miss Xing's face turn red and speechless, Ling Qianxue hurriedly walked over. With a face full of disdain, she said, "You're a man, yet you're fussing over a few $1,000s. Do you have any prospects? I think people like you are destined to sell breakfast for the rest of your life." At this time, Ling Qianxue's impression of Xiao Chen had already plummeted. In the past, she still had some respect for him. Now, she hated him to the extreme. She didn't expect that after he fell, he would act like a ruffian. He only knew how to haggle over every ounce. Where did he look like the leader of a demon sect? He was simply a stray dog that would bite whoever he caught. "I'm happy to sell breakfast for the rest of my life. What can you do about it? Xiaochen retracted his hand and glared at Ling Qianxue. His face and neck were red as he shouted, "What? You still want to fight? Fine. Bring it on. You." Humph. Ling Qianxue opened her mouth and was speechless. She felt helpless in her heart. She had never seen such a scene before. It was like a scholar meeting a soldier. She couldn't reason with him. Even if she really wanted to fight, she couldn't beat Xiaochen. In her depression, she could only roll her eyes and angrily turn her head to the side. Fine. Here. I'll give it all to you. Is that okay? Little Miss Xing regained her senses. Seeing that Ling Qianxue had also lost, she really didn't want to be entangled with Xiaochen any longer. She simply took out all the money that the squinted skinny man had given her and handed it to Xiaochen. She waved her hand dispiritedly and said, "Are you satisfied? Take the money and scram. Don't interfere with my business. Are you stupid? You beat my friend up like this. Shouldn't you pay some medical fees?" Xiaochen was a little surprised by little Miss Xing's forbearance. He planned to add fuel to the fire and loudly scolded. The squinted skinny man and the tall man behind him were about to cry. How touching. This hero actually remembered to ask for medical fees for us. What a warm-hearted and chivalrous person. Fine. You win. Little Miss Xing was so angry that her whole body trembled. She closed her eyes and directly took out the remaining $10,000 on her. Take it. Take it all. Xiaochen took the money and casually stuffed it into his pocket. Then he frowned and pointed at the breakfast on the table. He unhurriedly said, "Also, give me 10 portions of these meat buns, pancakes, and porridge for free. I spent so much time talking nonsense with you guys. I'm hungry." The squinted skinny man and the tall man really cried this time. "Hero, didn't you say you would give us medical fees? Why did you put it in your pocket? Is there even a share for us?" Little Miss Xing originally thought that this was the end of the matter. After hearing Xiaochen's rambling, she almost went crazy. You? Are you a pig? Can you finish all this by yourself? Why are you asking so many questions? Even if I can't finish it, I can still feed it to the dogs. Xiaochen casually picked up a steaming meat bun and stuffed it into his mouth. He also took 2 unsteamed buns and stuffed them into the mouths of the hooligans behind him. The 2 hooligans wanted to cry but they didn't dare to spit them out. They could only bite the dough in their mouths with twisted expressions. Xiaochen ate the meat bun while shaking his legs. "Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and pack it up for me," he thought to himself. "I don't believe that you can still endure such ruthless humiliation. Pack it up for him. Give everything to him." Little Miss Xing took 2 steps back and held her forehead. She felt a splitting headache and couldn't think normally. She could only wave her hand and ask the stall owner to pack up the pastries. She estimated that if she continued to tangle with Xiaochen, she would very likely vomit blood. After taking the 2 big bags of pastries from the stall owner, Xiaochen's face was full of satisfaction. Little Miss Xing and Ling Qianxue, on the other hand, felt exhausted. They didn't expect Xiaochen to be so difficult to deal with. It was even more troublesome than fighting with cultivators of the same level. Chapter 874. Although the stall owner obediently packed the pastries, he was confused in his heart. Weren't these 2 bosses very powerful just now? Why did they admit defeat when someone else came? Also, they didn't make a move and just swallowed their anger. It looked like it was a taboo. The 2 punks were even more dumbfounded. They didn't understand what was going on. When they were beating them just now, they were so ruthless. But when they saw this youtiao seller, they became cowards? They were hoping that both sides would fight each other and both sides would suffer. But the result was completely one-sided. Could it be that this youtiao seller was more powerful than the couple? Or could it be that he had something on them, so they could only listen to him? Yes. Thinking about it, it made sense. Otherwise, they couldn't find any other reason. The squinted skinny guy rolled his eyes and had an idea. Looks like in the future, as long as I use the youtiao seller's name, I can extort money from this couple at any time. They can easily take out more than 10,000 yuan. Looks like they have a lot of money. Carrying the food, Xiaochen couldn't think of anything else, so he turned around and walked back to his stall. As he turned around, Xiaochen sneered. There was something wrong with these two girls, and it was a big problem. Teasing them like this, yet they could hold back and not explode. They must have some ulterior motive. Looks like I can extort money from them from time to time in the future. My living expenses will also be settled. Oh right, I can eat buns and youtiao for free. They really are the perfect example of providing help in times of need. Plus, these two girls don't fight back. If that's the case, then you two can bear it if you want. Maybe this Xing chick is preparing to learn to be a ninja from Ling Qianxue? There's a knife on top of the word endure. Let me sharpen it. Xiao Yi. What are you giggling about? Why did you go to the washroom for so long? Did you go to find Kerlin again? Seeing Xiaochen come back with 2 big bags of food with a silly smile on his face, Cheng Menjing was a little angry. She put her hands on her waist and asked, "You know we don't have money right now. Why did you buy so much food? Aren't you poor enough?" Xiaochen froze when he heard the name Lil Di. He subconsciously turned his head and looked around, but didn't see anyone else. He then realized that this was the nickname Cheng Menjing gave him. With a chuckle, Xiaochen explained, "There are many people in the toilet, so we have to queue up. As for these noodles, they were given to me for free by the 2 silly girls. I didn't spend a single cent." Silly girl? Tell me clearly, who gave it to me? Why didn't he give it to anyone else but you? Cheng Menjing frowned, but then she remembered that she was in charge of the income from the stall. Xiaochen didn't have much money on him at all. It wasn't enough to buy so many things. "Oh, it's from the stall across the street." Xiaochen pointed at Xing's stall and happened to see her glaring at him with a pair of fiery eyes. He made a V sign with his hand and then explained what had happened. Then wouldn't our identities be exposed?" Cheng Menjing exclaimed, then frowned and muttered, "It feels weird to be stared at like this every day. Xiaochen, why don't we set up our stall somewhere else?" Cheng Menjing was indeed a little worried. She didn't think that someone would find them so quickly, and they even set up a stall across the street. Although they didn't come looking for trouble, the feeling of being watched was still uncomfortable. And if it was so easy to find them, didn't that mean that Ma Baoqiao could also find them quickly? It's okay, they can stay there if they like. Not only will we have free breakfast in the future, but we can also scam them when we run out of money. That's pretty good. Xiaochen waved his hand nonchalantly, then took out a big stack of money from his pocket and handed it to Cheng Menjing. He continued to fry the dough sticks. But what was different from the past was that although Cheng Menjing took the thick stack of money, she didn't feel happy because of it. She would still sneak a glance across from time to time with a complicated expression. There was an indescribable strange feeling in her heart. Although the 2 people didn't have any hostility, when she thought that someone was watching them not far away, Cheng Menjing still felt a little uncomfortable. But she couldn't think of a solution, so she could only quietly sell the dough sticks. After Kerlin went back, she was a little absent-minded for a few days. She didn't know why, but ever since she went to the newly opened Tang breakfast shop, she began to worry about Xiaochen. She didn't know where he went and why he disappeared for so long. On the weekend, Lu Shuangshuang asked Kerlin to go shopping. It just so happened that Kerlin was also planning to buy some clothes for the season. "Ku, look at this dress. Do I look beautiful in it?" Lu Shuangshuang was holding a blue dress from a stall. She kept comparing it in the mirror and asked with a smile. Although Grandma Lu's illness was cured and there was no need to worry about medical expenses, Lu Shuangshuang didn't like to spend money extravagantly. She even considered Lin's feelings and didn't even drive her Land Rover. Anyway, she felt that Xiao Chen liked her wearing the clothes from a stall. She didn't need to show it to others. "Oh, not bad. It looks good," Lin said casually, but her attention didn't seem to be on the clothes. Instead, she was thinking about something. "What about this one? Compared to the blue one, which one is more suitable?" Lu Shuangshuang picked up a yellow dress and compared it to her body. Not bad. Both look good," Lin said casually, but her eyes were staring into the distance. Her eyes were blank, and her hands were mechanically picking the clothes. "Is that so? But I like both of them very much. Which one should I buy?" Lu Shuangshuang mumbled to herself, noticing that Lin Ke seemed to be preoccupied with something else. Lu Shuangshuang picked out another dress and pretended to be happy. She said to Lin, "Okay. Then let's buy this one. What do you think, Ke?" "Sure. If you like it, then buy it," Lin replied first. Then, she came back to her senses. She saw that Lu Shuangshuang was holding a man's dress in her hand. She couldn't help but wonder, "Shuangshuang, the dress in your hand, looks like it's a man's dress? You just realized? What were you thinking just now? You were so preoccupied. You didn't even notice what clothes I was holding. Are you having some lovesickness?" Lu Shuangshuang frowned and asked. Just now, she deliberately used the men's dress to test Lin's reaction. In the end, Lin didn't realize it and didn't react in time. "You? What are you talking about? I was just thinking about Xiao Chen." "No. I am. I don't know how to say it. Anyway, it's not what you think," Lin explained weakly. Her face was full of depression. She wanted to talk about her recent experience, but in the end, she blurted out Xiao Chen's name. Even she didn't know why. "Huh. You're still saying it's not lovesickness. You keep mentioning Xiao Chen's name. I think you must want to see him, right?" Lu Shuangshuang laughed. She used her elbow to gently nudge Lin. She blinked her eyes and teased mischievously. "No. Nothing. It's just that there's a new fried dough stick seller in the morning market. It's in the place where our house used to be. Moreover, it's all the equipment that Xiao Chen used to use. That's why I thought of him," Lin quickly explained. "Really? Why don't I believe you?" Lu Shuangshuang teased with a faint smile. Lin blushed. She gently punched Lu Shuangshuang. Then, she suddenly thought of something. She asked thoughtfully, "That's right, Shuangshuang. Didn't you ask Xiao Chen to help you buy a rice transplanter and a harvester last time? Do you know anything about him recently?" Lu Shuangshuang was stunned. She quickly waved her hand to cover it up. "I don't know. I haven't seen Xiao Chen for a long time. He's probably very busy. After all, he's the young master of a big family. Why would he have time to fool around with us?" "You're right." Lin didn't notice Lu Shuangshuang's abnormality. She looked a little disappointed. She wasn't in the mood to choose clothes anymore. She just casually strolled along the street. Lu Shuangshuang saw that Lin didn't ask further. She was instantly relieved. Lin didn't know about her relationship with Xiao Chen. She didn't plan to say it for the time being. She was afraid that if Lin knew about it, she might not be friends with her anymore. Those TV shows and movies were not rare. Originally, two very good friends, but in the end, because of the same man, they became jealous, and finally, the two of them became enemies. Even in reality, there were many such examples. It should be known that in the beginning, Xiaochen was Kerlin's boyfriend. Although Kerlin didn't admit it, and Xiaochen didn't mention it, Lu Shuangshuang could tell with her woman's intuition that there must be some problems between the two. Now that she saw Kerlin's sad look, Lu Shuangshuang was even more certain that she and Xiaochen had an ambiguous relationship. Maybe they had already done it. In this case, Lu Shuangshuang didn't dare to lay her cards on the table with Kerlin in this situation. Although she felt a little uneasy, she really didn't know where Xiaochen was. Even if she wanted to say it, she couldn't. Both of them had their own thoughts in mind. They chatted from time to time and came to the morning market street. Before they knew it, they walked to Xiaochen's stall. Coincidentally, Kerlin also felt a little hungry. She stopped and asked, "Shuangshuang, are you hungry? Let's eat something." On the weekend, Xiaochen opened his stall all day long, just like when Tang Tang was here. The morning market street was also open all day long. But it was already past breakfast time, so there weren't too many people. There were still many empty tables on the side. "Okay, my legs are a little sore. Let's eat something simple." Lu Shuangshuang nodded. She rubbed her sore legs and sat down. Since she got a car, Lu Shuangshuang always chose to drive when she went to the warrior guild to sell things. On the one hand, she could put a lot of goods in the trunk, and on the other hand, she could save time on the road. But her physical strength was much lower than before, and she was tired after a short walk. Just when she sat down, Lu Shuangshuang suddenly stood up and stared at the stall. Chapter 875. She didn't know why, but she vaguely felt that the back of the Youtiao stall owner was a little familiar. It seemed to be Xiaochen. Lu Shuangshuang's heart skipped a beat. She quickly ran over to take a look, but found that the stall owner was an unfamiliar face. Now she was a little puzzled. This person's figure and movements were quite similar to Xiaochen's, but he looked older. His appearance was completely different from Xiaochen's. "Little girl, what do you want to eat?" Xiaochen noticed that someone was staring at him, so he looked up and couldn't help but be surprised. Why was Lu Shuangshuang here? Kerlin was also here. What was going on? However, Xiaochen could only pretend that he didn't know her. He was on the run now. It wouldn't be good if he caused trouble for Lu Shuangshuang. I want 2 youtiao, 2 fried cakes, and 2 bowls of tofu pudding." Lu Shuangshuang casually ordered some food, then turned around and walked back in disappointment. She found that not only did the youtiao stall owner look ordinary, but even his voice was very unpleasant. It was a world of difference from Xiaochen. "I say, Xiao Yi, I didn't think that you would be so popular with women with this appearance. Not only does Kerlin like you, but even the beautiful girl next to her also specially ran over and stared at you. I think you can be called a girl killer." Cheng Menjing snorted coldly. Cheng Menjing's intuition told her that Lu Shuangshuang seemed to have some relationship with Xiaochen. Otherwise, she wouldn't be so curious and specially ran over to take a look. If she wasn't Kerlin's friend, then so be it. Since she knew Kerlin, then it was very likely that she also knew Xiaochen. What girl killer? I can't even kill my mistress now. Miss, you're thinking too much. Xiaochen smiled bitterly and shook his head. He first took the food that Lu Shuangshuang ordered, then quickly returned and continued to fry the youtiao. He was also afraid that Lu Shuangshuang would notice something. After all, she was closer to him, unlike Kerlin. "I have told you several times, don't call me Missy, call me Yao Yao." Cheng Menjing complained very discontentedly. Xiaochen was really something, how could he still call her Missy? In such a dangerous situation, couldn't they learn from their mistakes? "All right. Miss Yao Yao," Xiaochen teased with a smile. You're pissing me off." Cheng Menjing glared at Xiaochen and was too lazy to argue with him anymore. "Since you like to call me that, then do as you please. Let's see what you can do when someone sees through you. Lu Shuangshuang, who was eating the youtiao, glanced at Xiao Chen from the corner of her eyes. Seeing them flirting, she increasingly felt that this stall owner's figure was similar to Xiao Chen, but his face and voice were different. However, Lu Shuangshuang and Ke Lin were different. She knew that Xiao Chen knew how to disguise himself. Didn't Xiao Chen appear with Xiao Chang and Yang Jiannan's faces before? So although his appearance was different, maybe it was also a disguise? Shuang. The tofu pudding in your bowl is gone, why are you still scratching? If you like it, ask the stall owner to give you another bowl. Looking at Lu Shuang's confused expression, holding the spoon and continuously scooping the empty bowl into her mouth, Ke Lin felt that it was a little funny. Ah! Lu Shuang was called twice before she woke up. Seeing the empty bowl in front of her, her face instantly turned red. Seeing this, Ke Lin was a little curious. What were you thinking about just now? You didn't even know when you finished eating. No. Nothing. I just think that the tofu pudding and youtiao in this shop are quite delicious, so I want to pack one for my grandma to try when I go back. Lu Shuang quickly shook her head, then suddenly had an idea. She thought of a reason and said with some embarrassment. Yeah, I think that the owner's cooking is similar to Xiao Chen's. The youtiao that he fried is so delicious. Ke Lin didn't suspect anything and nodded in agreement. Hee, Kuer, you just mentioned Xiao Chen's name again. Lu Shuang teased, feeling that she seemed to have turned the tables. You. Ke Lin's face turned red, and she glared at Lu Shuang. She stood up to pay the bill. I'm not talking to you anymore, I'm going to pay the bill. I'll go back with you later. I haven't seen Grandma for a long time, and I can take the opportunity to see her. Let me do it. Lu Shuang pressed Ke Lin on the seat, took out her wallet, and ran in front of Xiao Chen. She said, Boss, help me pack a tofu pudding and 2 youtiao. Oh yeah, give me 2 pieces of that fried cake too. Okay, wait a moment. Xiao Chen nodded and quickly packed up the food. Then, he casually said to Cheng Menjing, Yao, help this little girl pay the bill. Oh, got it. When Cheng Menjing heard Xiao Chen call out the nickname, Yao, she was indescribably happy. It seemed that this guy didn't talk nonsense in front of outsiders. She said to Lu Shuang with a pleasant expression, that's a total of 15 yuan. Lu Shuang said, oh. She took out the money. Just as Cheng Menjing was about to take it, Lu Shuang turned around and directly stuffed the money into Xiao Chen's hand. Cheng Menjing still hadn't reacted. Her expression was a little dazed. Lu Shuang picked up the packed food. She didn't forget to seriously look at Xiao Chen a few times. Only then did she leave with Ke Lin. Xiao Chen was a little helpless. He was wondering if Lu Shuang had seen through his disguise. The small action of stuffing money into Lu Shuang's hand seemed to be a hint. It seemed that he had to be more careful in the future. Hey! Why are you in a daze with that sneaky face of yours? Do you know her? What did she want to do just now? Cheng Menjing pulled Xiao Chen's sleeve and asked. Cheng Menjing was really puzzled. She had already stretched out her hand, but Lu Shuang purposely handed the money to Xiao Chen. It was really strange to say that there was no problem. Yes, I do know her. When I went to the warrior guild to accept a mission, I bought a pair of binoculars from her. Later, I found out that she is Ke Lin's friend. Her name is Lu Shuang. Xiao Chen didn't deny it. After all, Lu Shuang's behavior was too obvious. That was why it aroused Cheng Menjing's suspicion. It was useless even if he quibbled. It can't be that simple, right? I think that Lu Shuang seems to have recognized you. Tell me, what's your relationship with her? Cheng Menjing asked maliciously. Why don't you guess? If you can guess correctly, I will reward you with a youtiao. Xiao Chen picked up the youtiao that had just been fried. Humph. I don't want it. Look at your sneaky face, it's definitely not a good relationship. Cheng Menjing snorted and turned her face away. Hee, that's great. I can save another youtiao. Xiao Chen didn't refute. In order to prevent Cheng Menjing from thinking too much, he lowered his head and concentrated on his work. Cheng Menjing wanted to ask a few more questions. However, it was almost noon and there were more customers. She had no choice but to immerse herself in her work. Songning City, in a private room of a restaurant. A guy with a head full of red hair, wearing a bright red trench coat, a large gold chain around his neck, and a shiny gold watch on his wrist sat on the sofa in high spirits with a cigar in his mouth. Beside him were two expressionless young men in black suits. One of them had a calm expression, while the other was a little impatient. From time to time, he would use his fingers to tap on the table. It seemed like he was waiting for someone. Brother Red Hair. You're finally back. The door of the private room was suddenly pushed open. A figure walked in. If Xiao Chen or Miss Xing were here, they would definitely recognize the person. It was the squinted skinny guy that was beaten up by the two of them. However, the tall man wasn't here. He was alone. They were the underlings of Red Hair. Red Hair had just returned to Songning City and summoned the two of them. When the squinted skinny guy received the news, it was as if he had met his savior. He quickly ran over. The two of them were beaten up like dogs in the morning market. Naturally, they had to find their boss for help. Shouji, what took you so long? Where's little Gao? Don't you see me as your boss anymore? Red Hair was a little unhappy. Shouji was the squinted skinny guy's name. However, because it wasn't very auspicious, he was usually called Skinny. As for little Gao, he was the tall man. I'm innocent, brother Red Hair. We don't have time to play. We're all in the hospital. I heard that brother Red Hair came, so I rushed out of the hospital. The squinted skinny guy cried. Hospital? Then why are you the only one here? Is little Gao's injury very serious? Red Hair frowned. He did hear the squinted skinny guy talk about being beaten up on the phone. However, it wasn't clear in a few words. He thought he had already recovered. Sigh. Don't talk about it. His old injury hasn't healed yet, but he was beaten up by a little girl who set up a stall in the morning market. That's miserable. He's still recuperating in the hospital, but he should be discharged tomorrow. I'm slightly better than him, so I can come over to greet you. The squinted skinny guy sighed helplessly. F***ck. That little girl is that powerful? Red Hair slammed the table. He was confused and angry. What's going on? I've only been away for a few days. How did a bunch of powerful people suddenly appear on the morning market? Didn't that guy named Xiao Chen leave a long time ago? Oh, that little girl isn't that powerful. The powerful one is a guy who sells fried dough sticks. But that girl's punches and kicks are also very powerful. But the most powerful one is still the one who sells fried dough sticks. The squinted skinny guy wanted to explain, but he felt that it was getting more and more confusing. Stop. Tell me from the beginning. Red Hair was confused and immediately interrupted. Brother Red Hair, this is what happened. The squinted skinny guy took a deep breath and explained his recent experience in detail. WH. What? What does the guy who sells fried dough sticks look like? Is his name Xiao Chen? After listening to the squinted skinny guy's story, Red Hair was shocked. He almost spat out the cigar in his mouth. He remembered that the squinted skinny guy had never seen Xiao Chen before, so he quickly described Xiao Chen's appearance. Red Hair couldn't help but be afraid. After all, he had suffered a lot in the hands of Xiao Chen. Many of his backers were no match for him. If he hadn't followed Xia Chen and got to know his current backer, Yakushima Kishio, he would probably have to return to the morning market to collect protection fees again. Therefore, whenever Red Hair heard the name of the person who sells fried dough sticks or Xiao Chen, he would involuntarily shiver. It was too scary.